to Ribera Dillas on a hot and sunny Saturday afternoon. Looking at Jackson Bunch there, one of the surfers who's tore this wave apart in the early rounds, and he'll be looking to carry that on as we get set, going close to the conclusion of the event here. The likes of Morais and other top surfers in the draw. Emerald, Michael Rodriguez absolutely ripped this wave apart. His form, his surfing seems a great match for this wave. As we've let a little bit of a small lull from overnight and through the morning go by. We've dealt with a bit of tide. Feeling pretty positive about shaping up this afternoon. Willcox all smiles. He's got the important job done now. He's focusing in on getting a win here in Ericeira, Portugal. And soon we'll be finding out exactly what is going on. But it's time for the first time today to say hello, good afternoon, Felicity Palmatier. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. I think it's a smart decision. You know, we're going to see what the call's going to be, but yeah, good to have the morning off and back in the chair here, ready to call the next 4 heats.
It's a warm one, mate. The ocean looks really inviting as well.
Yeah, it is so warm out there. Got to enjoy it this morning. Went for a little run, little swim, and yeah, here we are back.
Let's go find out exactly what we're doing. Joanna Garnell is with Travis Logie for the call.
Yeah, guys, good afternoon. What a beautiful day it is today. What do we have in the water for now?
Yeah, John, it's a glorious Saturday Arvo and some really fun little waves. We're pleasantly surprised. So we're going to kick it off with men's round of 16. We're going to finish off that round.
And so no more surfing after that?
No, we'll call it off after that and then make another call tomorrow morning.
Why did we have the 7:15 call today?
We were just being a little bit optimistic because that swell didn't show up yesterday, really. That was forecasted, so we were hoping maybe it was just late and there would be a window this morning before the tide got too high. It was borderline. We almost called on this morning. There were a few waves, but with the incoming tide, it was just a little bit risky. But now with the outgoing tide, there's been some really fun sets, so it's an easy call.
And how about tomorrow? It's going to be finals day tomorrow on a Sunday.
Yeah, we've got finals day on a Sunday tomorrow, and the weather looks like it's going to be great. The waves look like they're going to be great, so really looking forward to it.
Oh, that's so exciting. What do you guys think?
Yeah, thanks, Joanna. I like the way she was just double-checking why she had to set her alarm this morning, wasn't she? Huh?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Why did we have a call this morning, Trav? All right, let's check out the forecast flicks. What we're looking at, smaller stuff this morning, little bump up this afternoon.
Yeah. Obviously this morning, that's why we were on hold up until now. You can obviously see it was 1 to 2 foot, but picking up this afternoon, we've got 2 to 3 foot faces. And as we look forward to tomorrow, so this is super exciting. We see 3 to 4 foot already straight away in the morning, followed by the afternoon, in the morning, 19-second period. In the afternoon, the swell picks up, period drops off, but the good news is that we're going to have waves all day.
Looking like a really fun day tomorrow. As Travis Logie mentioned there, the tides are always part of the conversation here. That's why we had the nearly run this morning, just because that tide was coming in. And we've topped that tide out, and with that building swell and the outgoing tide should be very much the favourable portion of the afternoon here. Let's check out the bracket for the men and see where we are. So what our order of business is, Flick, this afternoon is figuring out who we're sending to quarters 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. But if we just look at the guys that have already made it through to quarterfinal 1 and 2, I mean, obviously quarterfinal 1 really does spike my interest. We've got David Silva and Cole already qualifying, solidifying his spot on the championship tour for the next season, and those two surfers have been in form all event. But quarterfinal number 2, these two guys have come from way back in the draw, so to still be swinging in these quarterfinals, this is a super important result for them. So yeah, exciting things to come.
Yeah, let's see how that plays out through the afternoon here right now. Looking for our first surfer to put into our 3rd quarterfinal. It'll be one of these pair of Brazilians, 2 incredible surfers at this wave. Michael Rodriguez, who has been posting massive numbers, EDP wave of the day, high scores. Morais Hurdy, who is so sprightly. We broke down some of his technique and what he's able to do and how he's so active on that board, really loads up. Such a good match for this wave. A lot of people were mentioning his name just coming into the week here before we'd really seen anyone what sort of form they're in. We're looking at the forecast and we're thinking, yeah, maybe head high sort of stuff. A lot of people looking at Morais Hurdy.
Yeah, he's really impressed me all week. I think he's just got this ability to really just whip his board around super fast, and he has that adds that element of progression to his surfing, which is super exciting to watch. You kind of just don't know what he's going to do next. Is he going to go to the air? Is he going to chuck the fins? But for me, Emrod has been a standout all week, so this is going to be a really, really good matchup. Emrod just has been looking so fast, riding that mayhem, lost surfboards, just flying through sections, and his speed is so unmatched. So, yeah, it's going to be a very, very exciting matchup, this one, between these two guys.
So, man-on-man heats priority will be crucial. At the beginning of the heat, of course, we don't have priority established. It looks like the younger of these Brazilians who've decided to take the insides. And you can see there, Flit, just how smooth that is. We've got real light winds again, which has been a feature of the week here. Normally we get a little bit of sea breeze coming through in the afternoon, but looking really smooth out there on the surface. This is what we're dealing with tide-wise. A significant one will be 4:20 p.m, so that's in just over 2 hours' time. That's our low tide, which means we're mid right now, and it should be pretty shallow on the reef, and hopefully the wave's standing up.
Yeah, I think obviously that's the whole reason why we were on hold. We're waiting for that tide to start draining out. Obviously, high tide was at 9:30. That water fills in on the reef, and yeah, waves not breaking as consistently. So yeah, lower tide, and hopefully we're going to start to see a couple of waves roll through, as we see a couple right now. So it's promising signs.
Yeah, the crucial thing there as well, the range has come right down, just 3 feet. A tide about a metre between high and low. So that's probably more something that you'd expect in California or Australia. Those meso-tidal regimes, as they're known. Normally out here we're macro-tidal. We're looking at 3 or 4 meters, but actually a really small tide today.
For sure. One of the funniest things for me when I started traveling out of Western Australia, we don't really get too much tide variant, right? And I started traveling and I started realizing that actually tides affect waves. I started going to the east coast of Australia and realizing that, oh my goodness, you get big tide swing here. And even more so when you come to Europe, right? It's a really crucial factor of when you come to surf these waves over here. The beach breaks in France, these waves in Portugal, they're all so tidal. I remember surfing in Pantene in Spain, and wow, like I've never seen tides that big, and I kind of had to like wrap my head around. As we see, that looks like Leandro Dora sort of signaling, okay, are they sort of sitting a bit too deep at the moment?
That looked like the signal for go wide.
Yeah, it really did. But yeah, the tides just play a big factor into things here. So obviously, but today, less tide. Here we go. Close up of Leandro. Coach right now, still telling him to sit further wide. So I think obviously, and priority's sort of been established. So someone's had a paddle for a wave, and not sure who that was. Well, obviously, Emrod.
Yeah, Emrod with second priority now. So obviously had a little look at something, paddled in earnest for a wave. And then we get our first priority assignment. What we're really waiting for at the moment is the waves to come through, as this pair just really looking at their positioning right now. They've actually got their backs to the ocean and they're just figuring out exactly where they want to be. It has been a key, particularly with this tide going out from high towards the low, and with some of our starts, the surface do tend to get dragged a bit deep, and when the sets do come, it can be hard to get out onto the shoulder.
So we did have that was a bit of a graphic issue, that no priority has been established yet, so I was slightly confused there. But so no priority still, boys just sitting pretty deep on the peak, and obviously with no priority, they're pushing each other quite deep, which means that they're going to be maybe out of position when this first set comes through.
Thinking about Emrod and his performances here this week, it's quite hard often to come to an event and blow up and do it every day and get those big scores, go to the extra range and keep doing it throughout. I mean, it's cool doing it on a Tuesday, but ultimately you really want to be back for finals weekend and do that. How do you just keep that going? How does surfers like Michael keep bringing that super consistent performance every time they come to the beach?
I think he's just been on one at this event. Like he really has. It's just sometimes you just find yourself in this amazing rhythm where everything just feels like it's flowing for you, and I feel like his surfing really suits this wave. So I remember watching him on the Gold Coast for the first Challenger Series event of the year, which is also a right-hand point break, and he got a 5th up on the first event of the year on the Gold Coast, and his surfing just was so good with that right-hand point. So probably just carrying a bit of that momentum here, but it can be really hard to have that momentum all throughout the year. You know, as we see surfers having a look at Emerald going.
Yeah, here we go. Rodriguez with the first wave. He didn't fancy it. It was just too deep, and Emerald will punch straight away. And just not quite getting enough rotation to get the landing done there. Meanwhile, Hurdy having a little look around. He'll realise, you know what, I think I'll just hang out here, stick with my now established priorities, see if I can get a legit wave. Rodriguez won't add much. It'll just be a 1 for him. So we're underway here. And the make rate of Rodriguez has been really, really good. You surprised to see him not stick that one?
Yeah, I actually was. We'll have a look at the replay here, see if he was having a look if Mateus was behind him, but just gathering so much speed here, that board looking so lively, and obviously just landing a little bit. His feet shifted so far up the front of his board there, that was just too much weight at the front, and he just kind of got caught up in the foam. But yeah, I just thought, oh yeah, he's going to easily make this, no worries. But you can see he gets nice projection, but see his feet just move so far up the nose of the board there that, yeah, just getting bogged up in that foamy section. But yeah, I think it's hard, really. I've actually been really impressed with Emerald, because I think it's super hard to keep showing up every single day and put up big heat totals, you know. And we've had really tricky conditions for this event, and in his round of 64 heat, he had a heat total of 14.23. I mean, that's pretty high for the sort of tricky conditions we've had. And then the round of 32 had a 15.27. He's had wave of the day. You know, it's just, he's definitely in tune and in rhythm with this wave for sure. Because usually when you rock up to an event and you've got this whole big draw ahead of you, you sort of, I'm like, okay, let's just pace myself here. I'm coming into this event, couple of 6s to get through my first heat. Let's maybe ramp it up for the next round, couple of 7s. Then you want to ultimately be peaking in the final, you know, but it's so hard to keep having those excellent sort of scores heat after heat.
Consistency of Rodriguez is what's put him into this heat right now, with a shot at going into the quarters and building up for a solid result. Tomorrow will be finals day on the Challenger Series here in Europe, and then we'll be shaking up the ratings. And surfers still in the draw, a big opportunity here to put the hand up for that qualification story. And what a time of year to be in Portugal. We've been talking about just how many different waves there are around this town on offer, particularly when it's small. Actually, there's a lot of different places to surf. The weather's been great. It's really enjoyable to see some of the very best from across the world going at it. Here's one of them, Michael Rodriguez. So going again under the priority of Mateus Hurdy, and another soft, fairly slopey waves. Couple of quick maneuvers for him though.
Yeah, it was just a quick sort of in and out. He's just rolling the dice. He obviously doesn't have priority. Mateus is sitting at the back. He's like, okay, why wouldn't I just have a crack here and see if I can get that back up. So straight up into the lip for the first turn. I really like that. Into a carving maneuver there. So just a 2-turn combo. Obviously, you have a look here at this super slow-mo. I really loved that first turn. You can really see he released the fins there. You could see he was riding a swallowtail. Just that's how much he released the fins. You could really see that shape of the tail of his board through the back of the wave. But yeah, you may as well roll the dice, you know. You've got a 40-minute heat. You can see there's no clear sets coming. Okay, let's try and build on this total. And that score comes through, and it's a 3.33. So, you know, just ever so slowly building on that score line.
Mateus Hurdy is a name that we've been watching for a number of years. I think we've known about him. He came on to qualify pretty young. He was hanging on that Brazilian cruise, almost like the little mascot for a while. And just hanging around events, even if he wasn't necessarily entering them, just free surfing with the elder crew from Brazil, building up experience. Such a good surfer. I just wonder, Flick, by now, are you surprised he hasn't been able to make that step up yet? And I guess the other side of that question is, what's it going to take for him to do it?
Yeah, I've heard about Mateus for a long time now, I think, and I've seen a lot of his surfing online and all the clips that he continues to drop, like amazing aerials. We'll just watch this wave and we'll get back to that point in a second.
Yeah, goes Emerald again. Another inside for him. He'll just keep surfing here. Third wave. He's got some speed. That's a great turn. Sends so much spray. The whip out of that board that he's getting, so responsive for him. And then opening up, using the rail, just putting the full shoulders and hips into that as he rotates back around to the pocket, throwing a bit of spray. Third wave for him. He got 3.33 prior to this. Will it be an improvement, maybe?
Yeah, I think it is. I think there was a bit of a faster pace to this wave. I think he's got kind of 3 turns, sort of. I don't know. Does he get? I think he gets 1 extra turn here, so 4 turns as opposed to 2. And he surfed that wave with a bit more speed. compared to his 3.33. Just have a look again. He's just got that dial, that fin release just on tap. Yeah, beautiful rail cam as well. A little bit of variety there. But yeah, back to that point. I've heard of Mateus for a long time. I've seen so many of his clips, his free surfing clips online. But it's a funny thing, surfing. You know, sometimes you just get these people that get on the qualifying series, they crack it to the Challenger series, and then before you know it, they've qualified for the World Tour within 1 or 2 years, right? And maybe you haven't really heard of that surfer as much as someone like Mateus, but I think everyone's journey is so different, you know, and you can't be sort of comparing to other people, which is super easy to do when, especially when you're coming on at a young age and there's a lot of pressure from sponsors and parents and, you know, all different sorts of things like to qualify, and you're sort of being pinned up against, you know, other competitors your age. And if you're seeing them qualify and you're not, you're kind of like, okay, like it's really hard not to think about that sort of thing. So I think you just got to remember that you're running your own race out here and it's your own journey. And I really liked what I heard from Jacob Willcox in the piece that I saw the other day. I think it might have been on social media, but he was just talking about how, you know, he just believed in his process, and as long as you're dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, putting your head down, your bum up, and you're getting to work, you're going to eventually, you know, you're going to get the job done. And I really like that, you know, Jacob has been going at this for a few years now, and yeah, he's just prime example that, yeah, hard work will get you there.
And having a solid corner crew as well, a crucial ingredient to success on this or any of the tours. And that man there, Leandro Doro, we know all about what he's been able to do in terms of the championship tour. Coach Iago, also Jack Robinson, and the success that that pair have had. Leandro doing quite a bit of duty here on the challenges. He's got a few young charges and a different challenge for him. Different, obviously different venues, but different things at stake. All about encouraging that next crop, get them onto the championship tour. It's Michael Rodriguez with the early running in this opening clash. Still plenty of time left to go in it, over 27.5 minutes. More live action from the Challenger Series in Portugal right after this.
The EDP Vissla Ericeira Pro presented by Estrella Galicia is brought to you by EDP, Surf for Tomorrow, by Vissla, creators and innovators, by Estrella Galicia, brewed and bottled in Galicia, Spain since 1906, and by Visit Portugal, Europe's best surf destination.
Welcome back to Ericeira. A hot and sunny, scorching Saturday afternoon. The beach is full. And a beautiful shimmering sea service. Two surfers out in the water out of Brazil at the moment. It is the slightly elder of the pair, more experienced. Michael Rodriguez already done laps on the championship tour. He's building up something of a head of steam here. He's got a 4.5 and a 3.33. Modest numbers, certainly by his own standards in this event. Meanwhile, Mateus Herdy has been very, very patient. Flick So far he's waited 15 minutes, no interest at all apart from a quick in and out from him. Is that going to start playing on his mind soon? He's sitting there with priority.
Well, from what I've seen from the couple of waves I watched prior to us running, I don't think we've seen a set yet. I think those waves that Emrod have caught have been sort of the smaller waves, and he's just trying to get his campaign going. And I think we hope that there's going to be a set come through, a bigger exchange. I think there will be, and I think 25 minutes is enough time to get the job done. I know it is quite slow, but if you got to think if he takes off on a set wave, it's going to be a noticeable difference to Emrod's waves, just in the speed of the wave and the size of the wave. So I don't think it's I think it's okay. I think he's all right now, as we see someone looking cool, calm and collected, making the most of that athlete zone on the Normatec boots there. Jacob Willcox.
What's going on with the legs there, Flick? Is that hot or cold, or a bit of both?
No, that's compression. So that's compression on the legs right now, and it's actually really good for sort of removing lactic acid. If you've been surfing this right-hand point break here, you've probably been putting in a few hours. It's a really long wave, so you got all that lactic acid build up in the legs. So yeah, it's compression. And so basically you step into those boots, you zip them up, and you choose the intensity of sort of the air that's pushed into them, and they sort of act like a muscle pump effect where they compress and decompress, compress, decompress. It's like a little massage. You should go hit it on your break.
Sounds like a really good time.
Yeah, it's great.
So Chippo Willcox looking a picture of relaxation. His campaigns in Portugal have been going way back to him making appearances on the Champion Tour as a wild card. He won't need to make wild card appearances next season. He's locked in. We qualified him second day of competition here. We made it official after his heat in the morning. He's absolutely delighted to be able to have stepped up and just surf the rest of this event without the pressure necessarily of exactly what he needs to do, because he's got that work done. Although the high standards he maintains, he'll want a win here. Smaller conditions aren't necessarily what you would call his sort of wheelhouse. We know what he does in the bigger, more powerful stuff in Western Australia and beyond, but he's no slouch in the smaller waves.
No, he's definitely not. I mean, we've already seen it this year on the Challenger Series, you know. Started off on the Gold Coast with a good result, backed it up in Sydney. Now, Sydney was small in the beginning at Narrabeen, but then there was some juice on that finals day, and ended up getting a second place there. So, I mean, obviously we know Jacob, he comes from where I come from, Western Australia, and it's known for its bigger, more powerful surf and those sort of more consequential waves. But yeah, he's just got a deadly backhand. We've seen it all week here in Ericeira, just going to town, just so precise, and everything really well timed. But I think we had him in the booth for a couple of heats, and he sort of said, you know, he's actually been basing himself on the east coast of Australia the last 2 years, and he sort of attributes a lot of his, I guess, success and, you know, small wave surfing to making that move, because when you come from West Oz and you live there, you can sort of get so used to having that sort of power on tap. Everything's so easy. You take off, you don't have to generate your own speed. And yeah, so he's just obviously basing himself on the Gold Coast. Waves not as powerful. It's good waves, but yeah, you just got to learn to generate your own speed a lot, and access to training. He's got a little group of crew that he's training with there. Access to the Surfing Australia's High Performance Centre. So a lot of good things going on the East Coast for Jacob.
So ticking down towards 21 to go in this. It's 19 gone. No scores for Mateus Hurdy as yet. He's been really patient. Just having sort of tentative prod around the peak, not really displacing himself with any particular conviction. He's sort of cruising out there right now. I suppose there's no real decisions to make. If proper waves don't come through, you're not even really agonizing whether to go or not. You just got to sit there and be patient.
Yeah, you do. I mean, it's so hard, right? Because you can sit here and be patient and say, okay, when I was watching the surf and when I was warming up, there were bigger sets coming through. But if you only get the waves that you're given in the heat, right? And that's the funny thing about professional surfing, is you are dealing with Mother Nature. You can be the best person and the best surfer in the free surf or outside of a competition, but when it comes down to competition, you've got to make do with what you get in that heat. And here we go. See, this is more like it. This is some lines coming in.
This is exactly what you were talking about, Flick, with a legit set. So pretty sure Mateus will leave the first one. Emrod will go, yeah, okay. No, he'll let that go as well. Meanwhile, Mateus is just identifying exactly where he wants to be on the top of the takeoff bowl here, and he's got himself a great looking wave. Here he goes, first proper ride for Morais. Early and straight on the gas with the speed. Whips out the tail, almost slightly over, does it, recovers well, and a stinging hit into the lip, wraps it around. And you see that trademark style and technique that he's developed. I changed a slight couple of changes, I reckon, from the way he surfs over the last couple of years. Almost a wee bit of that Ethan Ewanification of some of his arm movement and placement. I think there's a few surfers that Ethan's influenced.
For sure, you can. I took the words right out of my mouth. Just as he's pumping down the line, it's his forward movement with his two arms. Just spinning image of Ethan. I see that. But yeah, I would have to agree that I've seen a couple of changes as we look to the replay here. First turn out of the lip, almost gets a little bit stuck there, but keeps the momentum going. Ben, I love this decision, you know, backing himself to wait for that bigger set wave. I think it's going to be a big difference in score. Sort of a couple of slower moments here, but really, really well surfed wave and great composure to just sit there and wait and pretty much wait 20 minutes for that wave. As we have a look, another replay. That's that little moment where he almost baubled, sort of really putting it all on that line, on the line for that first turn, which, you know, that's what the judges want to see, really maximising that first critical section of the wave. So this is going to be, in my book's, best score of the heat so far. You know, bigger set wave, multiple turns, variety. So really well surfed and great composure from Mateus.
So being patient to wait for this first real legitimate opportunity. And Hurdy there, just sliding out that tail, as you mentioned, almost gets a little stumble, but does real well to recover with the speed and go straight up again. And after just basically sitting there with nothing really to do, would have done a warm-up before he paddled out and got everything loose and ready, but then he was just literally motionless for 20 minutes. And when he was asked the question, he looked very much ready to swing. Let's see where that goes with the panel. That will, of course, leave Emrod, Michael Rodriguez, with priority now. And he'll have to be a little bit patient himself. Be interesting the time when the next set comes through. It'll give us a little bit of an idea about this fresh building swell and possibly how many sets we're going to see during heats. At 40-minute heats, you would hope to be getting kind of 4 sets with 2 waves. So an opportunity for each of our surfers. Let's see how that plays out. Let's see if Emrod will be interested in anything. We can expect maybe Mateus now to try and find something and get going on the inside. Looks like he's heading a little deeper here, Flick.
Yeah, this is smart, right? So he's already got that first set wave. He's trying to back it up straight away and just apply more pressure on Emrod. Didn't get that one. But yeah, I liked the kind of assertiveness there and really apply that pressure. He's going to know straight away that, okay, my wave was almost twice the size of Emrod's. Here he goes right now, backing up that score from before.
Just clawing down the line is Hurdy. Really nice jamming snap with the rail, committed to the water. And again, on a smaller, cupped out face. The board's so loose, and he's pumped up. And he hasn't had his score for previous to that. It's going to be a good one. He's going to get a decent number drop in, and then that will further improve his situation.
That was smart surfing. I really liked that. I just loved that, you know, he just knew, obviously, when he took off on that wave out the back before that set wave, he's like, right, I've got a good score in the bag. We'll watch this second wave of Mateus. Beautiful carving turn out of the top. Another one, quick in succession, wraps it around for a third cutback, and another little jam in the pocket. So he's super pumped, and for right reason.
Tell me this, Flick. Yeah. Emrod not even watching, not even turning his head, not interested.
I think there's sort of 2 different approaches, and I think you sort of just, you make your mind up on how you're feeling in the heat, whether or not you're going to watch your competitors wave, you know. I think if they need a score and there's probably 5 minutes to go, I think you're going to be turning around. I think you're going to be looking, but yeah, different strokes for different folks, mate. And Emrod just looking cool, calm, composed.
I mean, the standard operating procedure in a free surf when you're with them, mate, is you watch them. If it's a good wave and they surf it well, as soon as they kick out, you turn and look back at the scene and pretend you didn't see it. Right? Yeah. Is that just me?
I think that might be just you. I think you're just outing yourself, mate.
Emrod there, just not bothered at all. So he's just looking out to sea and maintaining steely focus. Judges have a score for Hurdy. Previous to last, 667. It's decent. He's going to get another good number here because he ripped that inside one from deep up the point. He's going to go into the lead. He only needs a 1:16. It's going to be another good number for him. And Matthias Herde, after that super patient start so far, looks like it's paid off. Jackson Bunch getting ready to take on Imai DeVault, the all-Maui clash. Do you think these two will be paying much attention to how often these sets are coming through and, in fact, what's happening out there right now?
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt about it that they are very well aware of how consistent or inconsistent these sets are. And they're going to have a pretty good idea as we see that last score come through for Matthias, 5.67. So it jumps straight up into the lead. Super smart surfing there from Matthias to get that back up straight away. Just apply that extra pressure to Emrod. Emrod now needs a 7.84 to advance. So pretty big score, you'd say, for today. But he is someone that has been getting big scores all events, so not out of the question.
Yeah, let's see how he goes if he gets one of those legit set waves. It's going to be really interesting to see him on one of those. We've only seen him on sort of underpowered insiders thus far in the heat. It's been impressive what he's been able to do, but we know he's got loads more once he gets going through the gears. He's been asked a bit of a question here now by Matthias Herde, whose patient approach at the beginning very much validated. And how often have we seen someone paddling back from a wave, not quite go all the way out the back with a surf with priority sit and then snaffle something else? And a 5.67, that's a really good return from under your opponent's priority, because
for sure,
Rodriguez was a point or over a point less than that surfing the in-between waves.
Yeah, I mean, Matthias paddled back out the back and took off on that wave, which he converted to a 5.67, which is actually a higher score than both of, you know, Mike Emrod's both of his waves. I think, you know, that next heat paddling out, Imai and Jackson Bunch, they're also going to be pretty aware of, you know, has there just been a set come through in this heat? You know, the time's ticking down. And if there's a set right towards the end of this heat, which I hope there is for these two guys so that we can see a bit more surfing, you're going to be thinking those guys in the next heat are like, oh, okay, so there's just been a set. Okay, if there's a little ripple that comes through, I might not be necessarily paddling for that because I know that there's going to be X amount of minutes until this next set. So it's all those little things that sort of pick up on as a competitor over time. They'll be talking to their coaches or their sort of brains trust and bouncing back, using them as a sounding board as we see. It's like Imai getting ready for that next heat. But yeah, they're definitely taking that into consideration. You know, it's so crucial on a day like today that you don't waste that priority when you have it and you really, really make the most of it. You can't fall either. You know, if you get a set wave, there is no, you can't make mistakes, you know, because there is minimal opportunity today. You really need to make the most of those waves.
So those two just over 12 minutes away from wrapping up this heat, sending out two surfers from the island of Maui. Jackson Bunch, the goofy, light on his feet, very impressive throughout the early rounds here. It's a first solid result from him in Portugal. Imai DeVault, we know all about him at this wave. He's been going into the excellent range consistently throughout the years actually here. Been going deep into the event, so he'll have fond memories of earning significant points on the Challenger Series. He's already got qualification done previous seasons and looking to do that again. Going all right coming into this one. And you'll know how crucial it is for a big, big result here as we see some lines heading through. The other flip from having a quiet heat is we haven't seen sort of two lully heats in a row very often. So if you do get a quiet one, maybe good chance we'll get one with a little bit more activity. Here's some activity. Matthias Herde, your heat leader, smaller wave. Look at him just absolutely trucking down the line. Looking for a section, there isn't one, but able just to stay in motion and keep speculating, just kind of buzz around, maybe become a bit of a pest and annoy Emrod. Why not? Just keep surfing. Here he goes again. He's found another opportunity and opens up, pushing hard on that rail. Gets those fins all the way out and sliding, and then gathers again. It's a little quick credit card, really, air over a section as he just pops that tail out the top of the wave. And then an inside setting up for him. Still going here. And good enough to get a bit of authority into his last turn, even on a smaller, softer wave. He's still ripping.
It was super, super good surfing for such a small wave. You know, I'm always so, so impressed and inspired by the way that these guys just carry their speed on waves like that, you know. It was a really, really small, tricky wave to surf. And, yeah, he just had so much speed and whip throughout his carving manoeuvres. Can really see it's the transitions in between his turns where he sort of has that sort of Ethan Ewing sort of style. It's just there, you see it. He comes down from that bottom turn. It's the pump into that next section. Little pop of an air there. carves back, and it's just so impressive that he keeps the board so lively through these little sections. It's really, really impressive. So yeah, just applying that pressure to Emrod even more so. Almost lost it there actually on that first turn. But yeah, really keeps the board moving, pops the fins again, carves it around. So I like that sort of, I like that idea, you know, let's add some pressure here. The other way to think of it though is, okay, the other way to apply pressure instead of catching waves where, you know, you've got to sort of ask yourself before you take off, is this wave going to better my 5.67? And if the answer is no, maybe I should just go apply more pressure on Emrod and go and sit and get in his personal space a bit, you know, because even though Emrod is sitting out the back there with priority, he's got the P next to his name, he can take off on any wave he wants. You being in his personal space is still going to add an extra factor, you know, but by giving him that free space just to sit there and think about it and have all the time in the world is, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's almost like, okay, well, should I get in that personal space a bit? Not aggressively, but just remind him that,
why
hey,
not aggressively?
Sure, if that's how you want to play it, Paul. Some surfers do, but I just think if it was me right now with 8 minutes left, I'd just be going and sitting right on up next to Emrod, because and only taking off if I think, you know, I'm going to better that 5.67.
Well, let's see exactly where Matthias Hurdy goes here. All parts of the heat craft, different ways of doing it, where you sit, what sort of waves you paddle for, get in your opponent's face. Maybe you're asking our beach announcers continually for the score when you know in fact, you've got a pretty sizey lead and there's not loads of time left. All part of it. That's all part of trying to find any kind of advantage that you may need coming up against a surfer of such high caliber. 8 on the clock. Emrod now is the patient one with not really much significant damage done on the scoreboard. Matthias Hurdy's pretty solid work is behind him at the moment. He'll look to carry on from there. I love, as we saw that slow-mo on the first turn, just the audacity of him pushed that hard on a first turn. Just the fact that he's almost skidding out and all, it just goes to show that there's no safety surfing from him. It's not really what he does. He's going to try and push to the absolute limit everything he does, and it looks spectacular.
Yeah, it does. I think he also, I mean, he has pushed really hard on all his scoring waves that he's got. He can sort of have the ability to push a little harder there now, right? So he's locked in a 6.67. He's got his back up 5.67. He's got to score better now. So the only way to do that is you're looking for good to excellent waves, right? So the only way to do that is really push hard on that first maneuver. So he's kind of got the luxury now to really go for it.
If you're Michael Rodriguez and there's 7 minutes left now, and he doesn't have got, does he maybe start to think about that air reverse attempt that didn't land? Does he maybe start to think, okay, why did I wait for those, get those inside waves? I should have got involved a little bit more in that set. Does it at this point where he starts to second guess himself a bit?
Oh man, it's a loaded question because hindsight is perfect science, you know.
Let's check exactly how this heat went down from the beginning in the recap. Rodriguez opened up and at this stage looking sprightly and looking quick, and you're thinking, well, he's game on here.
Yeah, he looked really good straight out of the gates, just sort of continuing that really small, that fast small wave surfing that we've seen. And yeah, so to me, I was like, okay, wow, Emrod's back, but then we saw Matthias just really open up on that wave with that big tail release out of that carving maneuver, locking in a 6.67, so that's pretty major already. So applying the pressure to Emrod. Emrod had that other attempt where he went for that air, didn't make it though, unfortunately. So yeah, Matthias just with really smart surfing. It took him 20 minutes to open up his account, so really composed from the young Brazilian here, just waiting for his first opportunity. Backed it up with this 5.67 straight away. So he paddled back out the back, heard his score, 6.67, and was like, right, time to apply some more pressure. Did it here with this wave right now. So you can see that little flick of the wrist, that little claim. He's liking his approach right now and asking for maybe time or scores. So yeah, maybe taking a leaf out of your book, Paul, and applying a little bit more pressure.
Yeah, he's been buzzing around, he's been busy, he's been active, and he's in motion. And I think he'd be much more comfortable doing that than just sitting there, seeing what he can get going. Just love some of that rail surfing that he's been doing. We know all about the progression and stuff like that, which is one of the things we associate with him. But some of those rail turns there, and I mean, it's a steep
wave-ish, breaking over a reef. It's not huge in terms of the magnitude. There isn't loads of power out there today, but he's pushing so hard, and the board actually accelerates through the turn. It just looks absolutely amazing. So cool to see it go down, and his form absolutely deadly, and he looks like all that confidence you kind of associate with him. It all seems to be coming together quite nicely. Just the right stage in this event. He's been good. We've mentioned how good he's been throughout, but he's not been necessarily at the forefront of our thoughts in terms of surfers standing out, and it looks pretty ominous at this stage. 4.5. He could be setting up for a big finals day potentially.
Yeah, for sure. Right now it definitely seems that way. I wouldn't completely write out Emrod though, because you just look back through his heat totals in this event, the waves he's been scoring, and as we see a set rolling through the lineup, and looks like Mateus is really going to force the situation here.
Yeah, Emrod will be very interested here, and he does need a wave. 7.84, that requirement. Here he goes. His first kind of legit set, and he's waited ages for it. What's he got? Quick slash to start, then he hits the lip hard, and it stays hit for a while. Again, another one. And then, wow, that was really nicely done. A bit of variety. Just dips the tail with the release. And then again, just building up all of that speed, eyeing a section, and he hits it again really hard. So rather than the rail turns on the face and those swoops back in the pocket, it was up and down stuff into the lip. 4 turns like that for Michael Rodriguez, and a crucial way for him, a crucial number coming his way from the panel.
I love that. Right as I was saying, don't count him out. That set comes through, and just looking so composed. Didn't fall, didn't budge. There wasn't any baubles in that wave. Feel like it had a really nice pace to it. Have a look at the replay. Takes off, bigger set wave, little check turn there to set up for this moment. Straight up into the lip, sends lots of spray going for a second time. That third turn there, that was money. That was probably the most critical turn of the wave, coming up into this inside section. He also did get a bit critical here. But to me, watching it again a second time around, I can see a little bit of tentativeness there, because he obviously knows he needs a big score. But yeah, we'll watch this here again. I think it was this third turn. This one coming here just really releases the fins there. But yeah, that was beautiful surfing and under pressure as well. So great surfing from Emrod, just continuing sort of that dominance and that approach where he just doesn't look like he's going to fall, does he?
Well, you mentioned the scores he's been getting throughout this event, and don't count him out was a good call. Numbers in for this wave, and guess what? He's gone excellent again. 8.33 for Rodriguez, and goes into first place. These assaults on the lip really are just so lethal, so loaded, and the difference between doing sort of wrapping, carving, set up turns and go straight up into the lip, well, it's all there in the score from our panel. So an excellent number, the high score of the heat by quite some measure. And Mateus Hurdy, who probably was feeling like things were going pretty sweetly, is all of a sudden now looking for a number. It's not a big one. There's the spread from the panel. One judge going as high as 9. Everyone in agreement that that was an excellent number. And Hurdy now looking for a score. It isn't huge, 6.17. And he's going to have to find that in the next 90 seconds. He's going on an inside wave here, an extended paddle, and he gets up, and it's not going to be the wave he wanted. Wow. All right, waves coming in here, and Rodriguez will try, you would have thought, get near to where he is, unless he actually just decides to ride this wave. You know what? He's going to leave a little bit of gap and ask a question. Hurdy's going to say, no, that's not the one. And another belt of energy heading in. Priority is with Red Rodriguez. He won't go. Hurdy's gonna have to go this final minute here, looking for that 6.17. Here he goes off the bottom with conviction into that first sliding snap, and then he blows out and releases the tail. So just 2 quick waves there. Not sure we saw a 6.
Oh, no, I don't see a 6, and he also blew it with priority. He had priority and he paddled for that small wave. Just, you could see the desperation on his face, sort of. You can see Emrod obviously with World Tour experience, and looks like right now he's paddling back up to the peak. So did look like he's got priority, Emrod. He's out in the lead. Major score that he just locked in for this last wave. 21 seconds on the clock. You've got to be thinking that he ain't going to be leaving it to chance here. Michael
Rodriguez just maintained composure to smash out an excellent ride. And right now, as we count down in the heat,
Oh my God.
a quick in and out, and it might be an opportunity here for Hurd. Is he going to get up before the horn? Looks like he did. 617, that requirement. First turn is a good one. It's aggressive. Check the speed. Another one. Snaps it nice and hard, and he's looking down the line, and he'll flare up and get a reverse in. And there we go. And that's what you got to do, is ask a question of the panel. Leandro Dora likes it, as does Luana Silva. And there we go. So we thought we saw that last wave, and we thought, well, it's not going to get one in time. And he just about gets up. Now it is with the panel. Emrod, certainly just a quick score for him. That's not going to change the total. 617, the requirement, Flick.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm just glad I'm not a judge right now. It's really tricky. Couple of nice turns out of the leap, and then went for that progression at the end there with that air and stuck it. So just a really interesting decision for Emrod, because there was those two waves coming, and that situation really sucks to be in as a surfer when you've got priority, and it's like, do I go this first one, or do I, let him go that one and go the second one? And, it's just, well, I don't even know. There's some sort of saying there for like, it doesn't really matter, whatever decision is the right one, because you don't know what that second wave's going to be like. But yeah, that was really impressive by Mateus there.
Hurdy making his way back up the beach here at Ribeira de las, and there's 5 people putting in a score. So we just see that quick in and out, and then right behind he sees this. I think there was about a second and a half remaining when he stood up. The horn went about now.
Wow, that was just so clutch. Emrod used his priority on that smaller wave, and then Mateus was like, thank you very much. I'll take this wave. I'll get the score, and wow, advances on through. How amazing. There was literally a second and a half left.
Unbelievable scenes here. Mateus Hurdy getting it done and going back into the lead. So a patient beginning from him, and then a flurry of activity, and then all of a sudden at the end just pulling something out of the bag. And you've got to say, even on that wave, there weren't loads of points done out the back with the first couple of turns to be able to keep that cool head, go the air reverse and stick it. And look how much it means to him here. He's through to quarterfinals. He's absolutely delighted. We get a quick commercial break. When we come back, an all-Maui affair. Jackson Bunch will be taking on Imai DeVolt. More live action from Portugal real soon. High stakes on the Challenger Series, and look how much this means to Matthias Erdi through to the quarterfinals here, and a huge result for him, a platform. And massive scenes as he celebrates with his coach there. Obviously an emotional moment, breaking through to quarterfinals and setting up potentially a massive finals day tomorrow. I want to just bottle that energy, that emotion, and bring it back, because he will need it in the quarterfinals with so much talent still left in the draw here. We'll keep on rolling with these matchups, and we'll invite into the studio to join myself and Flick. Keanu Singh, welcome, mate.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
All Hawaiian clash out in the water. How much are you looking forward to seeing this one go down?
It's pretty cool. You know, I was just with, you know, Josh Moniz and Shion Crawford and Brody Sale, and we're like, okay, we ought to make it down for this heat. Like, we really want to be supportive and be around this heat. And, you know, kind of two guys that are really gunning for a big result. And today is gonna show what who's gonna be on a win.
Can't wait to see how that one goes down. In the meantime, we saw the emotion there and how much it meant to Matthias Erdi. Let's go and hear from him. He's with Joe Manna.
Is right. He's still a bit speechless right now. Two great surfers in the water. Is that hard work or is it luck?
No, I don't believe in luck. It was really tough. I don't know. In my mind, I knew that there will be waves in the last minute. I knew it because I've been counting the waves since this morning. All the sets, because you can tell, like, it's pretty much flat for like 10 minutes, and then comes one wave or two, and then I knew like the last minute wouldn't be really exciting, and but I definitely didn't know the last wave would come in the last second, literally. But I'm so happy. You know, those heats, it's really hard, but it's something that I enjoy. You know, like when I get a surfer that it's really good, like Michael, or, you know, semi-pupo, surfers that I admire and surf like me. I think it's, I don't know, I'm a fan, so I like, if I was a fan and I wanted to watch it, that's the heats that I'll be watching. So when I see those guys like Semi, you know, and Michael, like, I want to watch those heats. So I was really enjoying and grateful to just be part of it, you know, like, I know a lot of people were watching this heat. A lot of people were tagging me on Instagram, and I was like, "It's game on, let's go!" So, yeah, I just gave it all, and was one of those heats. If I didn't land the air, I wouldn't make it. So I landed. I was so stoked to come my way.
And as you were counting down the seconds for that wave to appear, what were you thinking? Were you thinking about what you were going to do, or were you just let yourself go? A lot of things was going on in my mind, but like I had second priority, and then as I was about to come, and I saw a lot of people whistling, and I was like, all right, they're literally cheering for Michael. And then, like, when I had, like, in the last second, they were like whistling again, and I was like, oh no, they're like they just wanted the show, I guess. So I knew, like, it was a wave behind, and then he blocked me in the first wave, and then I was just like, all right, the announcer says 10 seconds left, and I was like 9, 8, 7, and then I was like 5, and then I stopped counting, was like 4, just like gave it all to stand up before the horn, and just so glad I stood up. Pretty much the first turn I didn't even look. I was just like, I don't know, it's just like. You got a lot of cheers there at the end, so congratulations, you did an amazing job. Do you want to say a few words in Portuguese?
Yeah, sure. Obrigado a todo mundo que estava assistindo. Eu acho que era um horário bom para assistir no Brasil. Acho que a galera já estava acordada e muito feliz que deu tudo certo, que a bateria foi uma daquelas baterias bem difíceis, que não veio onda e daí veio no final algumas e, cara, uma pequena decisão. Eu cometi um erro ali antes, mas, enfim, é o mar, a gente nunca sabe aqui, principalmente aqui em Ericeira, mas eu estou muito feliz, todo mundo que está assistindo, família, amigos. Obrigado.
Parabéns, Matheus.
Wow, Matthias Erdi is a quarterfinalist. He's absolutely delighted. So a lot going on there. It's exhausting really just listening to him debrief it. If I was him, go and lie in a dark room in the quiet for a little while.
What would you do, Keanu? I mean, yeah, you're going through so much emotions. You're trying to unpack a lot of information, especially right after so much emotions are flying. So I could only imagine what he's going through, you know, coming through with a big breakthrough result, you know, a heat like that means a lot to a lot of these guys, especially the ones that are trying to crack the top 20, the top 10. It takes heats like this to really come on top and try to capitalize on these opportunities. So huge heat win for him, and yeah, what a way to do it with so much emotions.
Yeah, well, he's already striding up the ratings here. So he came into this event ranked 19th, jumped up quite a lot of spots, 16 spots at the Willcox US Open. And he'll be looking to go deep into this one. He'll be back tomorrow for finals day, and we saw then just how much it meant to him. Meanwhile, out in the water, our two surfers from Hawaii, Jackson Bunch, the goofy, Imai DeVault, the regular foot. Neither of them enticed into action as yet. First of all, Keanu, we know about Imai and what he's been able to do in the past at this wave. Have you been surprised to see Jackson, how well he's performed out here so far?
You know what? I am surprised, but I'm not surprised at the same time. Like, I look at Jackson surfing, and his backhand is so sharp. You know, when he is on point and he has, you know, his equipment looks on point. And for me, Jackson, like, this is his type of conditions, these small rights, and you know, he's like a surgeon on his backhand. And Imai is very great in these small conditions as well. He packs a lot of power in such tight parts of the wave. And you know, just to see the goofy foot versus the regular foot is such a dynamic type of matchup, and it's really fun, you know, just to have these two guys from the island of Maui, which has been going through a ton of you know, distraught and a lot of happenings going on over there. It's really cool to see these two guys match up, and you know, good to see one of these guys into the quarterfinals. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, either way, this round is a decent result, but obviously when you get here and you're getting so close, you're setting up for something really, really special. Overall, you mentioned some of the other crew from Hawaii. How's the vibe in that crew? Because we've been paying attention to the Americans from California or the Australians or Brazilians, but what's the vibe like with the Hawaiian crew?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, you know, we've been kind of uniting a little bit, and we all grew up surfing together, and obviously some guys like Jackson or Imai are a little younger than some of us older crew, and
we're
it's
old
funny.
now.
Yeah, it's coming to that point, you know, where I'm becoming the older guy, which seems so funny. But you know, it's awesome, and we are all very so supportive of each and every one of each other. And you know, we only have a certain few that are waving the Hawaiian flag, and we try to be 100% for our guys and support them. And you know, some of us like to do our own things, have dinners separately, but you know, when it comes down to it, we are from Hawaii, and we are all 100% supportive of each other.
And Portugal's been a pretty happy hunting ground for the Hawaiians as results down there. You've been coming here a long time. Does the place, does it still have its magic for you? What do you still love about the place?
Yeah, I mean, to me, Portugal is such a special place. The waves are good, the food is good, and it's always been such a welcoming place for the Hawaiian community. And we have obviously had a lot of great success over here. I think Josh Moniz made the quarters here. Zeke won the event here, and he also won it in Guincho. And you know, we all come together here, and we always have fun. And you know, there's tons of ways for us to enjoy. And coming into the Hawaii season, this is one of those events that is like right before we get home. So it's, you know, I think we become a little closer here, and kind of like, okay, our year's finished until we get home. And for us, it's big. It's a big fun for us, and we tend to enjoy this place. And you know, it shows into our success here in Portugal.
Already a little bit of swell. I noticed some clips from the North Shore coming out, so season kicking off early.
Yeah, it stings a little, you know, being over here and seeing waves like that. I know, obviously, you can see on the screen right now, the surf is, you know, a little smaller side, but yeah, you can imagine everybody just, you know, licking their chops, ready to get home, and just understanding that they have to head to Brazil right after this is a little sting, but home will be there, and we're looking forward to it. But yeah, I was really, really impressed with just seeing the swell on Oahu, and Rocky Point looked really fun, and sunset, and just mint conditions. So, you know, you could imagine everybody's excited to get home.
Well, 27 minutes remaining in this one. No waves ridden in anger as yet. These two having to be patient. It wasn't a wildly dissimilar start to the last heat. We did see a couple of sets come through in that one, and then a big dramatic finish as well. These two absolutely bolting wide to try and get on. It looks like the goofy Jackson Bunch will open up here. Here he goes. First wave for him with some speed down the line. and just pushing and reversing, blowing that tail out of the lip, and able to do that really light and sprightly on his feet. Just getting a little clip in there, and then another nice stab vertical. So a wave that was softer and a little wider, and he really, got to say, in terms of the scoring potential, he surfed it up there, Flick.
That was incredible, just for the size of the wave and the first turn and just putting it all on the line. He kind of surprised me. I didn't think he was going to go for that turn because it was looking really relaxed, and then all of a sudden, have a look at this replay here, had to really scratch to get into it. It was looking really relaxed and just throws the fins for a big reverse. So really putting it all in line, backs it up with a super critical 2 turns, one after another. Wasn't done yet, gets it through to the inside and gets a finish. So I was so impressed by that wave. I just really did not see this move right here coming. I just decided that, hey, okay, I've got a bit more time, probably looking down the line. I can afford to really throw the fins and put that into reverse. Then straight up there for that second maneuver. And I think it's kind of like to what you were saying, Keanu, he really has that, he really does well in these sort of smaller smaller rights on his backhand.
Yeah, and there we go. You know, advantage Jackson Bunch. Like, you give him an inch, he's going to take a mile. I'm not sure how great that wave was. And there you see 7.33, which is all rewarded for that wave. You know, the transition, the smooth, technical, top to bottom surfing with a little bit of flair and a little bit of creativity off of that first turn. You can't really give Jackson just, you know, even a little inch. He's going to take a mile, like I said. And it's pretty incredible just to watch his progression through these events as a young kid, and just to see how well he's worked with Glenn Minami on his surfboards and equipment. And it really translated into how he surfs today, and especially like on tiny waves like this. I notice he always rides epoxies, and I think this really falls into his favor, especially in conditions like this when it's small and gutless. It's really favorable for Jackson.
What was interesting too is Imai sort of gave that wave to him. I know Imai was a bit deeper, but he kind of was looking at it. He's like, you know what, I'm going to let you go, and he pulled back last minute. So Jackson getting going again.
Yeah, for me, like, I look at that as like I would even go just to take a wave off of Jackson.
Yeah.
Like, have him go on that wave is going to help him build his rhythm. And even this right here is kind of, it's not too much of a wave, but he's surfing great. And for us front side surfers, it's a little hard. And this right here is we're not going to be surfing this wave as good as Jackson is on his backhand.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We talk about that so much too, you know, especially in here on this, about this wave, like just the difference between the approaches between surfing it on your backhand and your forehand. And are you kind of looking for a different wave? And do you think there's an advantage now that it's small on your backhand?
I definitely feel it goes advantage towards the goofy footers, especially, you know, when guys are able to really surf more vertical and in the pocket. Jackson really finding his rhythm on this wave. You look at how small that wave is, and his board is just moving side to side and still hitting the lip. This is really, really technical surfing for a really small wave. Now, I don't see this becoming a really big score, but what an impressive surfing just on a tiny wave, you know? And to me, this is the type of surfing on your backhand that you are able to do. Rather than the forehand, it's really hard to generate a lot of speed and coming off your toe side into your heel side. I think, to me, driving off of your heel side to your toe side is a much easier, and you can be a little bit more sensitive and softer with the touch of the wave.
23 minutes remaining in this. The second score will drop in for Jackson Bunch. We got it to 3.67. He's built up a bit of head of steam here. That 7.33 is a huge number for the wave as well. You got to think he just absolutely eked every bit of potential. Meanwhile, here's a set, and the statuesque figure of Imai DeVault has been super patient there. You would think he'd be eyeing up this second wave as a set comes through towards the halfway point in the heat. Nothing has tempted him even really to have a look in earnest at a wave, but I'm sure he will here. And let's see if the significance of the set wave pays off in terms of the number and the surfing he's able to do. Here he goes on the gas for speed. Floats a first section, doesn't want the wave to run away, and gets active with the board with a little whip back. But already there's no major damage done in terms of going into the lip, and you see a little bit of frustration there. If you are patient, you do wait for a set wave, and then one comes through and there isn't a lot of points, you can maybe start to get second guessing a little bit inside your own head, Flick.
Yeah, I think he probably would have wanted a lot more from that wave. And you could just sort of see it when he stood up. It offered that first sort of lip line float, but once he came around that, the wave just sort of wasn't hitting the reef properly. It looked really flat, and yeah, just didn't offer those sort of critical sections that we saw Jackson get.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just go and say, like, coming out with a big punch as a 7.33 right off the bat is hard to come back and counter punch, you know. But here goes Imai, just a nice float off the top, coming around the section. It tends to be a little bit softer right here, and there was just not much to the wave, and that's why we seen him just kick out right there, just not too much meat on the bone. And he's searching for something more significant, especially with Jackson having a 7.33. You're not really trying to cut down fours and trying to build a heat. You're really trying to come back with a counter punch. So it can be really frustrating, especially when somebody drops a pretty nice score on you like that. You really want to get going, and you really want to fight back. And you know, down to 20 minutes, it's the first portion of the heat that you're you know, kind of without a significant ride.
With the experience you had on the championship tour, thinking of surfers like Imai got his qualification done, it's a couple of questions really. Would a surfer like him come to you and ask you for advice, and what the kind of thing that you would say to him?
Yeah, Imai is he's such an amazing surfer and such an incredible young man. He hasn't really like come to me for any advice or anything, and I always keep myself available for these young kids and these young surfers. You know, I try to keep an open book, and you know, if I'm here for you, and if you guys need anything, that's what I'll always be for you guys. And for Imai, I'm very proud of him. You know, he has never bit off more than he can chew. He's always just been just pounding the nail. Every time I see him, he's pounding the nail. He's working hard at it, and that's all I could really just tell him, is just to keep going. You know, just to keep doing what you're doing, and you're doing the right things. And you know, last year you were so close to being back on the tour, and there's not much more I could tell you. I can't really tell you to do more. I can't tell you to do less. And you know, I'm really, really impressed and proud of Imai for you know, how he picked himself up after falling off the tour and just getting right back to it, and picking up some great results along the way on the Challenger Series. And you know, the tour is a lot different than when I was on there. And you know, that first 6 months or that first portion of the tour, you really gotta come out with a bang result and to keep yourself for the back end of the year. And you know, it's really challenging. So I think, you know, Imai gets back on there. It's focusing on trying to get a really big result in those first couple of events, and so he can stay back on tour. But yeah, like Imai, I am just incredibly proud of who he is, not only as a surfer but as a human. You know, he's one of the nicest kids that I've known, and we're proud to call him Hawaiian.
Great insights there from Keanu A. Singh, as we'll go down to just under 18 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. It's an all Maui clash in the water. A spot in the quarterfinals to take on Mateus Hurdy at stake. At the moment, it's Jackson Bunch, the Goofy, in the ascendancy. Find out if Imai can come back at him right after the break.
The EDP Vissla Ericeira Pro presented by Estrella Galicia is brought to you by EDP. Surf for Tomorrow. By Vissla, creators and innovators. And by Yeti, built for the wild.
Welcome back to Portugal, where we're watching an all-Hawaii heat in the water. It's heat number 6 of the round of 16. Jackson Bunch, the Goofy, taking on E. My DeVault. And at the moment, it is this guy, the Goofy, who's got the scoreboard pressure, and he's got a wave here, and he's got so much whip out of that surfboard. It looks so knifey for him on a glassy face as he goes down the line with a ton of speed, and again stabs that thing up vertical through the lip. And he's looked so light on his feet, his momentum down the line, and crucially as well, his waves have been running for him a bit more. He hasn't had to cut back and wait. He's been able to get waves that just keep going in front of him. He opened up with a 7.33. It wasn't really a set wave, it was a wide betweener. And he absolutely ripped that wave apart. And just looking to back that up now, and something of a misstep from Imai, who waited ages for a wave, got a set wave, only converted it into a 2.67. It wasn't really anything wrong with his surfing. There just wasn't much available for him on the wave. And let's see where Jackson Bunch number goes here. But with close to 15 minutes remaining, you've got to say advantage Jackson thus far.
For sure. And are you kidding me with that last wave and the way that he surfed it? Like, wow, let's just look at this replay here. Oh, it's just straight up into the lip. He's surfing this like it's a 4-foot wave, you know? It's just insane to watch. Just the, and I got to echo what you said, Keanu, is the how technical it is to surf a small wave this well. You just got to have every part of every maneuver working perfectly, and the body mechanics that it takes to execute a turn like that is just, it's skill, you know. And wow, like I was so impressed with that surfing. It's just really, really good.
Yeah, and going back to what you're saying about like how to generate speed and how to actually find the angle off the bottom turn to actually go that vertical on such a flat type of wave. Like not much people at home have got to surf this wave or around the world, and when you're watching on your screen, you're looking at somebody that's exploding the lip. When you're surfing this wave, it's really, really flat. So it's really hard to get, you know, your nose and fins above the lip like how he's doing. But Jackson is very technical, and like I said, like he's so in tune with his equipment, with Glenn Minami and them building him surfboards. I think it really suits his surfing, especially on days like this when it's hard to generate speed and hard to get vertical on the wave. He's able to do so. So advantage Jackson, and I hope we can see some more sets coming in and you know, get a little back and forth battle in these last 13 minutes.
Yeah, at the moment he is comboing Imai DeVault. He needs a couple of scores right now. He does still have time for those waves. Think about that total 13.5. So a couple of 7s, couple of high 6s minimum is what Imai's going to need here. He does need 2 waves at the moment, 2 fresh waves. He does have priority. That's the good news. But he's had to be pretty patient in this, and as opposed to the 4 waves ridden by Jackson, Imai's just the one. It wasn't a great one, even as he kicked out. It's kind of the energy from him after all that period of sitting there inactive. Just looked a little bit like the wind going out of his sails a touch. Still time left though. That drone shot just shows you just how shallow it is on the reef here. These two know all about surfing close to reefs, coming from the Hawaiian Islands. And right now, on a Saturday afternoon in Portugal, with the tide draining out, going towards the low tide, and we're expecting pick up and swell overnight. Best day of our waiting period. Looks like it's all coming together for finals day. That'll be tomorrow. Here's Cade Matson, who's going well on the Challenger Series, as is his buddy out of California, Jake Marshall. He'll be coming up in the next heat as well. And you feel like Cade, with the performances he's been putting on the Challengers this year, been a little bit of talk about him and his potential for stepping up. We've seen his buddy do it, Cole Hausman, but Jake Marshall, somehow, his name doesn't seem to be as around in terms of like people we're watching on the Challenger Series. I tell you what, he's going right in the ratings. He's surfing brilliantly in this one, and he wants to get back on the CT flick.
For sure. Sort of during this event, he's kind of just been this quiet dark horse. You know, he hasn't, you know, when we do the post show at the end of each day, you sort of heard your Michael Rodriguez, your David Silvers posting these high heat totals. But yeah, Jake Marshall in this event has sort of just been slugging along, and all of a sudden coming up in that next heat in that round of 16. So I believe that he can qualify with a first place finish, but a couple of things need to happen. Michael Rodriguez or Imai has to be eliminated in this round. So, first of all, Emrod eliminated. Check, off the list. Now it comes down to this heat right here. If Imai doesn't make it out of this heat, Jake Marshall, it's in his wheelhouse, it's sort of in his destiny. If he wins, he can qualify.
That's pretty amazing. I totally agree with just the dark horse type of mentality or kind of outlook for Jake Marshall. He is so technically sound, you know, like sharp in the mind, sharp how to dissect a heat, and his technique is phenomenal. I've been watching him free surf lately, and he has got a really magic board under his feet. You know, we got to free surf the first day, and he had this epoxy that he was riding with no stringer, and he was, you know, very excited about this board. And I'm really excited to see the matchup between him and Cade. Cade has been putting on such a brilliant year. Like, this is one of the best years I've seen him, you know, just performance-wise and strategically, like, putting together heats, and he looks like he belongs. So this matchup after this heat, you know, the two USA surfers just gunning for world tour place, it's pretty incredible. And it's funny just to see all these matchups. You see the older Brazilian versus the younger Brazilian, the heat prior, and then you see the older Hawaiian versus the younger Hawaiian. Now you see the older American versus the younger American. So this is, you know, it's a really cool matchup, and it's really fun to watch.
10 minutes just over on the clock here. Priorities with Imai. Devault needs a wave. He actually needs 2 waves. He's comboed right now. He needs to get a couple of waves for 13.5 to attack Jackson, and that will assume that Jackson doesn't improve as well in these 10 minutes. It looked like we had a set stacking up there. We saw some lines. That one a little bit sluggish, making its way onto the reef. I think just we saw in that shot there, that was Imai's partner, and it's quite often harder to watch than it is when you're out in the water, Flick.
For sure. My mind right now goes to Mateus Hurdy's post-heat interview with him saying that I time the sets and they're roughly about every 10 minutes. Now, if Imai is in a combination situation, which means he needs 2 waves to get the win, he's got to be thinking he's got to get a wave now so that he can sort of get himself, like, if he waits for this set, he's only going to have 1 opportunity. Like, he needs 2 waves. So with less than 10 minutes ticking down, there's sort of some tough decisions that need to be made, and almost has he left his march sort of too late.
Yeah, and I'm going to just go out and say, like, I really hope he can find a wave right here with priority. And I think the next wave is he's going to have to generate orange juice out of 1 orange. Like, there's not much, especially with the draining tide. It really takes the energy out of the waves, especially at these reef breaks. It tends to be a little bit slower when the tide starts bottoming out. And, you know, as you can see, his girlfriend looking a little stressed. Like, we want to see some waves. You know, we want to see these guys surf, and just seeing them sitting and waiting is really, really hard. And, you know, I really hope that there's a wave that can come. And if it does, he's going to have to capitalize on this priority, make a big decision here to kind of close the gap, and then turn around and try to, you know, capitalize on another score. Here goes Imai.
Yeah, in motion here. Imai, this is the wave he's waited for. He's loading up with the speed. And the first turn is really precise, so tight in the pocket, gets that tail stinging through the lip, and then stylishly done. Everything he does is smooth and polished, but what he's really hoping to do is flare up here, and this wave just not giving him much to work with. It's knee high as he gets a strong technical finish, get a completion. He would have been hoping for a bit more juice there, Flick.
For sure. I'm still impressed, though, with the way he surfed that wave for what it was. You know, 2 nice turns out the back, and then really just squeezing everything he could at the end there. But let's have a look at the replay. Go a bit caught behind this section, so maybe a little bit deep, but really chucks the fins on the first one, stabs it up for a second turn. Sort of, this is the section and it gets really slow. You know, kind of didn't have that steepness. We just got to sort of compare it to Jackson's waves. You know, they sort of stood up a bit more, offered a bit more scoring potential. But good thing is that, you know, we've got to hope he's going to get out of this combination situation, get back out the back, and hopefully get another opportunity with the set to come through.
Yeah, totally. I enjoyed this wave. You know, there's not much opportunity, and he's can only take what is coming his way. And to me, that was, he capitalized on that small opportunity. And, you know, I liked it. I think he's going to close the gap. He might need a bigger score for the next wave, but he's been putting himself into a situation where he can get back into this heat.
Yeah, he needed a wave. He got one. The numbers in. Gets himself out of combo. It's a 4.67 for him. He would have loved a couple more points than that, obviously. But a 4.67 will bring his requirement now down into the realms of mathematical possibility within one wave. He does need to go excellent, though. 8.83. And that will require a bit of a shift in fortunes, really, with just what the ocean's been offering him, if he's going to get that excellent wave. But he does have time, and he'll look to surf now and to see what he can get going. 6.5 on the clock. And he stands up, just prods the lip quickly once. Meanwhile, Jackson Bunch will have a spin. He likes the look of... well, he doesn't actually. So he had a couple of thinks about that wave. And probably a pretty smart move not to go. If you think his number, that low number, the 6.17, realising there wasn't that potential there, probably better, particularly at this stage, to hang on a priority. All right, we're seeing a bit more action go down now. Here goes Imai again. He'll keep rolling the dice here. Here he goes. Quick float from him. And then again, there's that turn, which is... He makes it look so easy. Doesn't put a lot of body into it. The board does so much at such speed. And again, it's smooth and polished, but it's not going to be a huge number.
I just really hope another set comes through. And then, you know, we saw it in the last heat, right? Literally in the last second and a half, Mateus took off needing a score. And, you know, with that set coming through, and it looks like there's some lines coming, so we could see another exchange, which is so exciting and really good for the guys out there right now.
This is exactly what we want to see here. Jackson Bunch had a little look around to see where Imai was. He might be interested in this wave out the back here. Does have priority, does the goofy Jackson Bunch, and he'll use it right now. Here he goes from the top of the point, winds into his first bottom town. And there we go. There's that vertical hit. And again, realizing not a load on offer and wants to hang on to that priority. So quickly flicks off and makes his way back to try and remain in control. Here's the squad from Hawaii watching on.
Yeah, it was, you know, this is the time of the heat and the part of the heat where this is decision making, you know. Situational awareness and understanding where you're sitting in the heat and how to capitalize on positions. So I think smart decision by Jackson. I don't think I'm going to better maybe a 6.17. Let me just hang on to priority so I can take control of the heat. So in a sense, like you gotta think about these positions and these decision makings in order to put yourself in a better position to make this heat. And you know, incredible surfing and incredible you know, decisions by Jackson Bunch.
So Jackson with that priority and with a cool head on his shoulders. He's 4 minutes away from heading into the quarterfinals, and what would be a massive result for him on the challenges here in Europe. Let's see how he goes in terms of managing this heat. There are more sets. That's what we want. It is sort of quite hard sometimes to see exactly how significant they're going to be, because the lines, it's so picturesque here. Anything that's sort of even an in-between wave does show you those corduroy lines of the horizons, gets you a bit excited. But this actually looks like there's quite a bit of energy swinging in here. Mateus heard he was confident there were waves coming at the end of his heat. Let's see if we get waves at the end of this. Under 3.5 to go, Flick.
I think we're going to see surfing for sure. You know, Imai isn't going to go down without a fight, and he's out there. He's got second priority, so he's either going to force Jackson to go one, or, you know, Jackson's also going to... It's a tough situation for Jackson to be in too, you know, like... Looks like they're going to let these two waves go. Obviously, they're not really hitting the reef the way that they want them to. But yeah, it's a tough situation for Jackson too when you're in this position to decide whether or not to pull the trigger when you have priority.
Yeah, this is, you know, and he's applying a lot of pressure just by having priority. It's kind of forcing Imai to have more of a, okay, I'm going to pull the trigger and go on this wave. So if you're Imai, you really got to get into a situation where you can force him into a wave to get priority switched.
Here we have a look at the recap of the heat, and it was Jackson Bunch out of the gates with a 7.33. Just beautiful surfing like this, just going for that progression on that first turn. Sort of surprised me, didn't think he was going to go there, and then finished strong as well. So really applying the pressure straight out of the gates, and then backed it up with a 6.17, and we're kind of talking about it in this heat. He just has this great sort of technique and ability for these small, his surfing really suits these sort of small right-handers, and yeah, I've just absolutely been loving what I've been seeing. Just so critical there.
Yeah, you could really tell just by his tight transitions. It's incredible to see the type of speed he can create on these little waves, and especially Imai with packs such a big punch in such a tight amount of space, and you know, just unfortunately the wave is just really weak and not providing too much punch for him to generate enough power and speed to have an impact on these type of turns.
All right, so tricky conditions, technical surfing. Jackson Bunch still with a solid lead in this one, 90 on the clock. Bad news for Imai DeVault, second place priority, as well as needing an excellent number. The 883 is the requirement looming large. The next heat, Cade Madsen in red there, left of his shot, just making their way into the lineup. They'll give room to these two. Will we see any more waves? We saw that set. It looked like it's going to be a set. Didn't offer much in terms of opportunity for these two. They maintain position out there on the takeoff bowl. Final minute here. And nervous moments all round, really. Whatever situation you're in, it's always going to feel tense. Obviously, you'd rather be Jackson Bunch with that priority, the chance to try and control this. But he's on the cusp of kind of a really big result, quarters or potentially better, coming back for finals day. The surf's going to pick up tomorrow. If Jackson can hang on here, this is huge for him.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, right now, 42 seconds, he's staring at no lower than a fifth. And you get a single place finish, you know, even in this round is a great result, but a fifth really catapults you into just a higher ranking. And just for him to be sitting in this position with a huge result going into the last event of the year, you can capitalize on another event down in Brazil to you know, even get yourself into the top 10.
Not sure we're going to get a wave ridden here. And in the all-Hawaiian clash, two surfers from the island of Maui. It is the younger, the goofy Jackson Bunch, who surfed this brilliantly. And from the very first maneuver on his very first wave, which wasn't a bomb set wave, it was kind of an in-betweener, as he reversed out of the lip. We didn't see it coming, and he's been so sprightly. That kind of energy he has maintained throughout his rise. A little friendly debrief between these two out there, and I think Imai DeVault will realize just wasn't really his afternoon. And well done to Jackson Bunch. A massive result from him. On the Challenger Series, part of our storylines is the elevation of young talent, putting them on a major stage. It's exactly what we're seeing with Jackson Bunch here, who has surfed so well, and he'll be back for finals day tomorrow. I tell you what, he'll be absolutely full of confidence as well, because those are good numbers, and particularly in a heat that's been tough. Well, he made it look relatively easy, taking it all in his strides. Keanu, mate, it's been great having you in here, breaking it all down. Thanks so much.
Thank you guys for having me. It was great to watch this heat from the booth with you guys, so I appreciate you guys having me.
We wish you well for the season coming up in Hawaii. Enjoy that. And here in Portugal, we're going to keep going. We're sending surfers through to quarterfinals. It is a sunny afternoon, heading down towards that low tide. We've got some great heats hitting the water. We're going to bring in a triumvirate of commentary prowess in the form of Mundy, Alves, and Jervis. We'll be right back.
Isto é um projeto ambicioso, é um projeto de alta competição. Acho que está bem claro o que é que estamos aqui a fazer. Eu sabia que ia ser duro.
Me dijeron que por la tibia rota, ya dije, no puede ser, otra vez no. Obviamente es un camino muy largo. Cuanto más desafíos tengas, igual más mejoras. É um pouquinho mais a treinar.
Sem parar.
Pessoal, aqui o stand é assim, estão altas ondas, não há disputa. Eu quero essa disputa e a simulação do que rola no QS, então vamos simular da melhor forma possível. E é a nossa última oportunidade.
Sorte não vai ser o suficiente.
Our two servers up and riding, Cade Matson and Jake Marshall, both riding waves. We'll catch up on that pretty quick with Bernard Evans, Flick and Keanu are sitting out of the booth. We've got in some Portuguese heavy hitters, Felipe Jervis, Chico Alves and Felipe, another massive heat. They're all big heats, but both these guys with the potential to win or gain CT qualification if they win this event. So talk about having a prize, you know, a big carrot at the end of the stick.
Yeah, first of all, hello everyone. Hi Ben, it's good to be back on the booth. It's our first hit in this morning, and there's a lot on the line on this hit as we see the replay of the first couple of waves. Nice floater by Jake Marshall. Look at the quality of this wave, just top to bottom, no wind at all, nice carving. Just going back to the power source of the house, making sure he's gonna finish this one off on the inside, just waiting for the wave to wall up. Another nice carve by Jake Marshall. Hits it on the top, a nice snap, and is out of there to get the priority. Very well, first couple of waves for the surfers, for both surfers, really well surfed. The conditions look pretty fun, Chico.
Yeah, looks really clean out there. When the waves come, they look really fun, actually. We have the right direction of the swells, so every time we see a wave break, it looks really good. As we see the boys there supporting Ken Madsen, and as we see his first wave, nice foam climb there, gets around it, nice click off the top there, nice carve again. So good combination of 3 maneuvers at the back. Then based on where he was paddling back out, I think he took this wave all the way in. So let's see if he can finish it off with a good turn here at the end as he weaves his way to the inside section, gets a bit of a float there, snap again, and he was able to actually do a couple more maneuvers here. So a long wave for Cade and a lot done on that wave. So I really enjoy these first few turns where he generates a bit of speed. And this one, he flicks the tail out the back. Wow. Really beautiful maneuver. And as you were saying, Philippe, looks really clean. You were out there before. How is it? The water, the wave? You can tell us. You were in the water, so you can give us an honest feedback and a real one about the conditions.
Yeah, I went for a 20-minute surfing before the contest was called on, and the water is actually really warm, and it's kind of fun. You can feel that there's a little push, a little stronger, and a little bit more powerful than yesterday, and obviously a little bit more consistent. Because yesterday we had the size, but it kind of took us a while for the sets to come in, and today is a little bit more consistent and super fun.
Yeah, we saw, and in this particular heat, like the last few heats have just had a bit of a slow start in terms of both surfers getting off to, waiting 10 minutes, 12 minutes to take off. And there's been a few even sort of thoughts that it could be reset, but it's great to see in this way, a great start. Both surfers are getting waves, both surfers are getting scores, and that I think often just sets the bar high for the rest of the heat.
Look at the lines.
Look at that. So we are on, guys. This new swell, the westerly direction is great. The period is long. As you say, there's not a breath. I mean, there's a tiny breath of wind that just makes it feel really, really nice. So, yeah, we've got some sets, and we've got the prime tide, and we've got a surfer looking at his first wave. So this time, Jake goes on the first wave of the set, and Marshall, 2 turns out the back, driving down the line. He just does those lip line floaters, and there's a bit of fin release to show some variety. And then again, a bit of torque as well. And he's still got some sections. So this is one of those ones that hug the reef. And within 8 minutes, Jake's got 2 waves, and he's looking really smooth and on point. And there he goes again. And a final turn. So great surfing. He mentioned in one of the sort of in his post-heat interview that he hasn't had a great year, sort of way down the rankings, but his main goal is to win an event. And that's always sort of putting most of his sort of goals into, and you know what? He's surfing so well. If he can get through this heat into the quarterfinals, obviously he's a great chance. And just had a lot of flow on that wave.
Yeah, it decided to go on the first wave of the set, which is sometimes it's not the right call, but look at this. That wave looked like as clean as possible. First snap off the top, straight into a nice carving. Just getting that floater, and look at the speed. He's going to push it real strong on that one, just pushing that back foot straight into another snap, drifting the tail. And Jake just connecting the dots on that wave. Look at the wave. It felt like the wave was gonna finish around something here, and then out of nowhere, the wave just doubled up again. He went for the floater, got it on the section, nice snap again, and finished it off really strong. So very well served by Jake Marshall. He's going to put the second score on the board.
Yeah, great serve. He got a 6-point ride for his first wave, and he's just backed it up. A 6.67, a bigger number for Cade's first wave. So he got the best of that first exchange. Marshall, the better of the second. But right now, we're going to go down to the beach. We've got Joanna Garnell with the winner of the last heat, Jackson Bunch.
That is right. Congratulations on making it to the quarterfinals. How does that feel?
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Just want to show what I can do in these waves, and I'm excited for tomorrow. Supposed to be some bigger waves, and see how it goes.
Well, this is your best score so far at this event. It's also your best result on the Challenger Series so far. So how do you feel more connected here at this event?
Yeah, I feel like I was in a good rhythm in that last heat, and also in the heat before. A couple of my other results, I felt like the waves weren't really going my way, and yeah, stoked to finally get a good rhythm and surf some fun heats.
And how would you compare the conditions in the previous heat to the one that you were surfing in?
They're pretty similar. The waves were a bit similar, slow, smaller, but right now it's gorgeous. It's so glassy. I don't know if I've ever seen a day this glassy in my life. It's pretty hilarious. Maui's always so windy and choppy, but it has its days, and right now it's beautiful.
Well, it's going to be a great day tomorrow, finals day, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. Hopefully some waves and good times.
We're excited too. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Yeah, Jackson, what a classic. I love that description of the waves. Gorgeous. And it really is. It's so glassy, so clean. And yeah, coming from the windy isle from Maui, which is so windy all the time. He's just loving the stillness. And I'll tell you what, he's currently 30th on the ratings, Jackson. But now with his best result of the Challenger Series, he's going to rocket up that table. And with so much talent and so young, he's got so much potential. And those scores, though, when we go back to the heat right now, and Jake Marshall, 7.5. So Jervis, just got that first wave and then immediately backed it up. It's so important, when you get a solid start to go again. And 10 minutes gone, 2 scores. He'll be very happy with the way he's gone so far.
Yeah, Jake was really smart on that heat, because the first exchange he left his wave a little earlier, so he had to make sure he got the first priority again. And yeah, it worked for him, because he got one of the best waves of the heat so far.
Yeah, and sometimes we talk about sometimes the second wave is the better one, but in that exchange, Jake he identified that there was only one really wave in that set, and he took off, and he's absolutely made it pay. Hey, Chico.
Yeah, he did really well on it, and what a heat we have on our hands, Ben. I think Cade he is a bit behind now. He needs a 684, which is a quite high number to get, and I think he needs to really pick the right one to make a good effort on to get that number. So as we see the replay of Jake's wave.
Yeah, why do you think, there was a point, sort of 1.5 difference from this wave to his first wave. Where did he get that extra couple of points from, Chico?
Yeah, I feel like the outside was really well served. He had a lot of speed throughout all of the maneuvers, and so you couldn't see really any downtimes out the back. So a beautiful connection out the back, and the inside was better than Cade's wave too. This snap and then the last one, they were better than Cade's wave. So I feel like the outside had a bit more speed maybe, and a couple of no downtime in the middle, and then at the end he had the connection of 2 beautiful turns, the carve and the snap on the lip. So I feel like that's the major difference between Cade's and Jake's wave. Cade's most likely the 6.7 was based on the outside section.
These, yeah, and that's the point. Yeah, you're right. You know, better sections, a bit more release, and Marshall. Both of these guys sitting pretty close to each other on the rankings. 15th for Jake, and a 10th for Caden. I mean, they'll know, Philippe, that a lot of the guys above them have already sort of been removed from the heat. So Cade was in 10th, but guys like Jackson Baker, Morgan Siblick, Samuel Pupo, Imo DeVault just lost, Frederico Morais just lost, and Eli Hanneman also, Crosby Colapinto. So pretty much the whole, 7 of the top 10, and that includes Cade, have opted out early. And these guys, they'll know that, won't they? They'll know that there's so much rating points to be gained and places, but you can't think about that, can you?
No, you cannot. You cannot stress over it. You just have to go hit by hit, and obviously there's in the back of your mind you're always thinking about the rankings and always thinking about the qualification scene. But yeah, it's there's a little bit of a window for both the surfers to go up the rankings, because it's looking like at least one of them is going to get thrown this heat, and they're going to score some really good points as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. There's a little bit of a room to improvement there, and obviously there's still a few hits left on this contest, and there's still one more stop on the Challenger Series, and it's going to be a big one because there's so much stuff going on. There's so many people losing, other guys are advancing, and there's every hit counts, every point counts, and right now it's one of that excitement moments where anything can happen.
And Matson, he's had 2 really early round losses until the Challenger Series events. So he didn't do any good at Snapper, first round loss, and also in the US Open. So we count 5 of the 6 Challenger Series events, and so you can get 1 throwaway. But he's got 2 low ones, so he's obviously already piled on some points in this comp, because his lowest scores are 600, and then he's still got Sakurima to come. So yeah, I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but just by getting in the quarterfinals, you can cement himself up in that top 5, and going to Brazil with sitting at 5th rather than 10th. It's a whole new ball game, isn't it, Chico?
Yeah, of course. I feel like the pressure, it's insane. The amount of points available for all of them, it's insane as well. And from 1 to 30, 40, 50, 60, I don't know, all of them can win the event. It's the Challenger Series is that good that someone can really just come up like 30 positions in one contest. So as we saw, Eli Hanneman on the previous to the US Open, he jumped like 33 positions on the challenges. So I feel like Cage has a few friends in front of him as well. So he's playing a bit of catch up in the rankings. So I think it's fun, and that's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the big numbers. Yeah, Eli went up to, I think, you said 23 places, so a huge jump. And then, unfortunately, for Eli, he sort of couldn't back it up in this particular one. But yeah, there's some big points to be had, some big jumps in the rankings going to that final event in Sakurima. But as we see these guys just looking out the horizon, it's a bit of a lull. We're going to go to a short commercial break and come back with more from the EDP Vissla Ericeira Pro right after this. And we are back to Ericeira. There's Griffin Colapinto. I mean, yeah, are the San Clemente crew relaxed? Are they enjoying themselves in Portugal? I think we can say that both the answers to that is a resounding yes. And they're back in their main Cade Matson in this particular round of 16 matchup. Can their boy get through to the quarterfinals, which would be a huge, huge result. And yeah, they've been a constant source of amusement, the San Clemente crew, throughout this event. I've really enjoyed their energy. Sorry, Philippe.
Yeah, they've been traveling together since the beginning of the Challenger Series, and it's been fun to watch them just out of nowhere. There's a big American community that is doing really well on the Challengers, and they've been supporting each other. And even Griffin is here in Portugal, because he could have been in off season. He had a really good year, but now he's enjoying his time in Portugal, and he's having fun and catching some really good waves. It's as glassy as possible. It's sunny, it's warm. How cannot you enjoy this weather and this time in Portugal?
Yeah, and interesting that the American crew, it's sort of something that we've sort of tended to see more. Those big groups of sort of vocal support from the Brazilian kind of contingent. But looking at the Challenger Series ratings right now, it's really noticeable that there's a lack of Brazilian representation in the top 10. The only guy we've got is Samuel Pupo, who's in 7th, and he went out relatively early in this heat. And his last, he won at Snapper, and he hasn't had a result since then. And then you have to sort of go down to Michael Rodrigo, also outside the top 10. He also just got beat, albeit by Matthias Herdy, who's a Brazilian joining up the rankings. But yeah, Chico, it's interesting to see. You think the Brazilians will be dominating this sort of rung below the CT, but any reasons why you think they're not quite, filling the rankings as they normally do?
Well, I think on the CT they do.
Yeah.
And I think they're pretty good over the last 3 years. They have world champions.
Yeah. There's a couple of guys there doing all right on the CT.
Just a couple.
On the Challengers side, I think most likely you see a lot of them struggling to travel a lot in terms of getting to places. The lower ranks, I'm saying. And I feel like they have a lot of probably opportunities back home sometimes, and they don't want to just like travel that much because they can't afford to it. So I don't know. I just feel like there's a mix in between having a lot of comps back home now, and a mix of trying to put a really hard going for like a full year on the Challengers and make it happen. So I feel like for them the Challenger is a big step towards the CT, and they want to be here when they know they can make it to the tour. So every time you see like a new name coming from Brazil, he's just like Italo. He shows up, he wins everything, he's on the CT, and he wins everything. So it's kind of like they have like a bit of a ramp before at home, and then when they show up, they just like do super well. So I feel in contrast to like Europeans, Americans, Australians, they focus more on the QS and on the
it's a good point. Interesting. Yeah, they've got a few more challenges, some of the Brazilian surfers, in terms of support and getting around. And just I think it goes in cycles a bit too, Fleet, doesn't it? Sometimes, sometimes you get a generation that just come through that push each other. In Brazil, we had Felipe, Italo, Gabe, now Jago. But the next sort of generation below, we haven't had quite that. It's been consistent, but not a real sort of push like the Americans at the moment.
Yeah, it feels like that generation, Gabe, Italo, all those absolutely legends of surfers. They all come from the same generation, and as you said, there's a little bit of a gap for the next generation. You have Matheus Herdy, you have Léo Casal, which is part of the new generation, and it might take them a little while to adapt to the Challenger Series. And as Chico said, right now they have a really strong national tour, and sometimes you need to understand your priorities. Obviously, you will look at the rankings, as you said, there's more Americans in there than are Brazilian, and it's been not like that for the last couple of years, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, there's 2 Americans in the water right now, and one of them is Jake Marshall, and he's elected to go this first wave of the set. Nice little lip line. You can tell by his body language that one was going to pay out. Meanwhile, Matson, he's saying, yes, I'm going to go. So big, strong, and he pulls out, gets back priority. So just has a little look, knew that he could pull out and still regain priority. And we go back to square one after, which was a long wait. Cade got that start, that first 6.67, pretty much within the first couple of minutes of the heat, and has been waiting ever since for a backup. So that's the issue. When the waves come through, they're clean, they're gorgeous, as Jackson Bunch called them, but they just, you know, they're infrequent, and it's all about making it pay when they do come through. So we'll see how Cade just playing it safe, playing it patient, and waiting for one of those to come through. And I'll tell you what, Philippe, we just see these lines, and I think what tomorrow is more of the same, but a lot more of it, a lot more size. So we're going to have similar conditions, like in terms of weather and wind.
Yeah.
But just solid waves and from a good direction, right?
I don't want to hype it up too much because it's the ocean. We'll never know. We've been surfing for a long time, and you know that it's always kind of unpredictable, even though we look at the forecast. And so I don't want to hype it up too much. But
mate, it's not an eddy swell. You can call it.
I think it's going to be like proper waves, no wind, very good weather again.
I'm going to call it. I think it's going to be the best day of the all challenges we've seen this year.
All right. Better than Snapper? Better than car park rides at Narrabeen?
Yeah, that's a big claim. I don't want to put it up there.
I'm going to put it up there.
Yeah.
I think it's looking so good. The direction, the size of the swell.
So what is it? What is
the wind? Like it's going to be glassy all day. So I think it's going to be that good.
Yeah,
I think when we look back at the day to be in Ribeiradilhas, it's a day like
tomorrow.
So
wicked.
And what a day to be. Sunday, no wind, nice temperature. Everyone is going to join us here on the beach as we see live action.
Well, Jake Marshall was trying to join us for tomorrow if you can get through this heat. Yeah, well, I like your enthusiasm, Chico. I like your positivity. But what's the direction? Without giving away too many trade secrets, but yeah, why is this direction a bit more favourable tomorrow? Is west? Does it hit it better? Is that what happens?
I actually think it's the same as today.
Right.
And you can see even if it's this small, the wave just has that little wall, and it doesn't get too fat on the channel.
Right. Look at this. So if we're looking at the ocean, to the right is to our north. So if it's a bit more north swells, which you get here, you get a lot of north swells. It just breaks a bit wide into the channel, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And if you get west, it comes from the opposite direction, and it just embraces that little reef and just puts that wall. And look at that. It's going to be 5 to 7 foot with 14-second period in the afternoon. That for Portugal, look at the morning, 19 seconds of period. It's so insane. We're not used to have that, and it's really
looking good. And tell you who's looking good is Griffin Colapinto, and I think he's down there on the beach with Joanna Garnell.
Yes, he is. I'm here in the Team USA with Coach Griffin. So what does Cade need to get back into that heat?
There's a little set right here, but I don't know. When there's no waves, and so you just seems like he's just being patient right now and waiting for the sets, and like that's kind of the only. Or here goes Jake on a wave, but yeah, that's like the only option is just kind of wait for a set. There's not really that many like in and under that you can kind of sneak away. So it's actually a pretty simple strategy, and Cade's really good at doing this. Like we've been running a lot of heat drills lately, and he's always on the best waves. Pretty much him and Crosby are usually the guys that pick the best waves, and yeah, so I have a lot of trust that he can pull it off right now. But we love Jake too, and he's ripping, so it's just great to see that we'll have one of the boys in the quarters.
And how have you been enjoying coaching?
Yeah, I've been loving it. I mean, I got coached by Snake and Tommy Whitaker, the two goats in the coaching world, in my opinion. So I've learned so much from them, and so like to kind of like take their knowledge and bring it over for these guys. And I learn a lot too by doing it, because I see things in them that I do, and I'm like, oh, maybe. Well, I just noticed that I do that too, and then maybe I can fix that when my season gets going again. So it's kind of like we're both benefiting from it. So yeah, it's really fun.
That's pretty interesting. And how has everyone been getting along?
Oh, so well. I mean, we've been having some deep conversations, so it's really good.
Meditation as well?
We did a breathing class one day. We found a guy that has like a sauna ice and does a Wim Hof breathing techniques, and we did that as a group, and that was really fun. And yeah, a couple of the boys lost out early, but I think it was kind of a good thing because we were able to like talk about life and go a little deeper than just like the surface level of points and all that stuff. So yeah, it was really good.
And how have you been enjoying Ericeira so far? It feels pretty good to be here in Portugal, not competing.
Yeah, I've been loving it. Just, I haven't really been surfing much, really. Just been kind of like enjoying the lifestyle and trying to just have fun with these guys, laugh a lot.
Well, you look like you're having an amazing time. Good luck for Cade.
Thank you.
Wow, yeah, thanks, Joanna, and thanks, Griffin, for your time. Yeah, that was really cool. So much insight from Griff. He's really articulate, isn't he? You know, he's a deep thinker, which we love to see in surfers. And he's having fun, but not afraid, as I said, to talk about, you know, bigger picture and deeper meanings. And I think us men can be sometimes a bit guilty of not really digging too deep and trying to hide our emotions, and I think that a lot have decided to go the other way and sort of dig into it, and I think that's a positive for, you know, mental health and mental well-being.
Oh man, I love it, honestly, because I can see myself a little bit in that type of conversations and as a person, and it's so much better if you just put it out there and you share your thoughts and your connections with all your friends and try to understand. It's good. It's really good for the competitive mind, but it feels like you can relate a little bit with all the other friends, and everyone has their own issues and everyone has their own personal things they need to deal with, and it's really interesting to see that those guys they're looking for it and try to find answers. It's so cool.
Yeah, and Griff himself, as he said, Chico, he's look at himself to try and improve his surfing. There's a lot going on the line at the WSL finals, the Rip Curl finals at Trestles, his home break, well tight on the line, and it was a massive disappointment. So sort of, you know, himself to come back from that intense pressurised situation, intense disappointment, I mean, he doesn't seem to be showing it too much there, does he? He seems to have got his head around that loss and has moved on.
Yeah, he's just having a bit of time off. You saw by his body posture, he was like, yeah, I haven't been surfing too much. I just want to enjoy, have good talks, deep talks, whatever, have good laughs. And I think that's you need to respect that, because you need to have times like this to have the balance in life.
Yeah, and okay, here goes Jake. So he's staying busy without priority, few S turns, trying to improve on a 6. See Cade, oh, there's a nice little fin release. He's so smooth at the moment. He's in between turns, there's no jitters, and there's another one. And you can see Cade at the back just watching this intently, because this was under his grill, and he can improve on a 6. I mean, there's not much more he could have done on that wave. It was a smaller wave. It wasn't one of those bigger set waves that he got his 7.5 on, but nonetheless, it was a very well surfed wave. And Griffin mentioned how Cade's been doing the heat drills, and in their practice he always manages to get the best waves. But this one for Jake, it was just really on point, Philippe.
Yeah, the connection in between turns is so sharp, because you see Cade looking and maybe second-guessing himself a little bit in there, because when you look at the wave from behind, there's always spray coming out and all those turns and energy, and you almost feel like should have gone on that one, but I think he's doing really well. I think Jake surfed this wave really well. I don't think it's going to improve because of maybe at the size of the wave, but as you can see that his board is looking really good. The connections in between turns, that flow, we've been talking about his flow since the beginning of the heat. It feels like he's catching waves that don't have that much of a load time on it, and it just keeps on going from rail to rail. Look at this, just pushing that back foot, drifting the tail a little bit, and the technique is absolutely perfect. Goes around the section, another off the top, just keeping the pressure to make sure he has speed to do turns like this on smaller waves. Actually, I'm looking at this replay, and maybe it's going to be up there.
I mean, you can understand Cade's decision not to go, Chico, because he was chasing a 6.84. He knows what kind of wave he needs, but it's interesting that he let that one go. It's going to come in, and we'll see whether it's going to make his life more difficult. But yeah, you know, it's hindsight. It's pretty hard to work out. We see Jacob Willcox there getting that blue jersey off Inez, and we've got Jabe Sikoki from Ventura. So this is a man that's probably the lowest ranked surfer left in the event. So an incredible breakthrough performance from Jabe up against one of the informed surfers on the Challenger Series. So he couldn't get a better, harder draw.
I'm going to call him an underdog, because you know what?
Oh, yeah, he is.
I've never heard of anything of Jabe, and for me it's a new scenario on the challengers, a new surfer on the challengers, and you know what? I'm not sure if it's his first Challenger Series, but you know what? He's on the round of 16. He has a really hard hit, obviously. Jacob Willcox, number 2, is already officially qualified for the World Tour next year. But Jabe is on the manual man. He's putting the points, even though he has a low ranking. I'm pretty sure he's not looking to that qualification scene, but he's going to look to make sure he improves his situation on the rankings.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. It's his first Challenger Series, so he qualified through the American qualifying the region QS, which is no easy task. You've just seen all those guys on the beach that Griffin was hanging out with, and a lot of them are, incredible surfers. So he's gone there, and then on his first year, you had a bit of a slow sort of start, but yeah, now just gaining experience and gaining some confidence, because some of his heat wins have been really impressive. A few buzzer beaters, some big numbers. So Jabe, yeah, really one to watch. Just another one of that sort of guard of young American talent. And, coming from Ventura, Chico up there, there's a few surfers we know about from there. Dane Reynolds, Sage Erickson, so that's such a strong surf and skate culture. So he's from one of the hotbeds of American surfing. So it's great to see someone else from Ventura coming through the ranks.
Yeah, since the first round, I could tell his surfing really suits Ribeiradilhas. I saw like 1 or 2 waves, and I felt like, oh, this guy's gonna do well here. Like, I don't know if he's always surfing like right end point breaks, but he said on the interview that he really has like a similar wave back home. That he surfs a lot.
Yeah, well, there's Rincon's not far away, and
exactly.
C Street. So these classic, California right-hand point breaks he's grown up on. Just, and it shows, you're right. He's got a real familiarity and a good style. We'll see a few lines approaching as we see Matson. Well, this is the one he's waited for. Marshall's putting pressure on him to try and sell him with the first of the second. Cade is just sitting close. He's hoping this one behind it's going to be the one. And now he assesses its potential, looking at it. And it doesn't look like he's making a move. Neither does Jake, so we got a little bit excited by that wave. Turns out it wasn't going to do what it required. So, Cade, to his credit, he's absolutely sticking to his guns. Needs a high 6, and he's not going to catch a wave that doesn't supply that. We'll go through the recap, Philippe, and it's been, well, this is the only wave of note for Cade so far. Got it in the first 3 minutes and hasn't been able to back it up.
Yeah, Cade started off really well with a 6.67 combination of some big turns on the outside. Nice style, very good technique. Cade is a very technical surfer. As you can see, it just puts that momentum, and the wave just got kind of smaller on the inside, but you know what? This little west angle on it just provides that finishing turn and provides that wall right on the inside, as you see Jake Marshall on the wave behind with the 6 points. But yeah, Jake surfed really well as well, and he got the priority on right after this one. This is a 6-point ride. This a bigger wave, nice connection in between turns, nice wall in front of him, nice carving by Jake Marshall, just taking advantage of the wave, of what the wave has to offer, just making sure he keeps the momentum going, he keeps the flow going. Just, it feels like his board doesn't stop since the beginning all the way through the end of the wave, and he got the priority straight away. And with the priority, he got this 7.5 combination of 2 big turns on the outside. Nice speed turn straight into a floater. Look at this turn. Wham! Just pushing, letting the fins drift straight into a nice snap, drifting the tail again. Going over the top on that one. No downtime, just top to bottom surfing. Very fast, very loose. He's gonna get the connection on the inside. This is what the west swell does. Look at this inside. It offers a couple more opportunities on the inside, a couple big turns. So that was the best wave of the heat so far, 7.5, and the time is kind of running out for Cade.
Yeah, it just kept giving that wave. And Marshall absolutely went to town on it for a massive number. Really, really well surfed. But you're right, it just means that Cade been sitting out there since the 37-minute mark, really, knowing that he doesn't need a big number, just needs to back up at 6.67. He hasn't had the opportunity. And Jake stayed busy, but realistically, he's had 3 scoring waves. That last one, a 5.83. So in some respects, Chico, I mean, Cade not going that wave was the right decision. You know, like it would have been fairly difficult to potentially get, you know, another point above what Jake did on that wave. So in some ways, he's, you know, he could have played it right. We'll never know. And he's still just backing himself to get that last set wave that can come in. One more opportunity. We're looking at the ocean though right now, seeing if he's going to get that. It looks pretty from that bird's eye view. You can see the beautiful reef down there. Guys sitting close and just waiting for something. There's a few little insiders, a packed beach and the beautiful cliffs. Just to the north of those guys, there's probably 50 surfers learning to surf on the little flat reef, on the little great little inside runners. So
perfect.
It's so many people getting like the buzz on surfing. You know, you can see it in their face, like literally standing up for the first time and getting absolutely stoked. And to do it here means, you know, it's a bit like you fall in love with someone. You know, you get your first stand up on your wave somewhere and always have a great memory of this. But I tell you what, Cade Matson needs to stand up, that's for sure. He's just going to wait it out. There's nothing he can do. Griff said that. He said, look, if it's flat, it's a pretty simple strategy. You just got to wait for a set. There's absolutely nothing he can hope for. And now we see a few lines, so we might get the finish.
Seconds.
We might get the finish we need and we want. Marshall, he might too get a second crack at it as well, but it's going to be all about this wave choice of Cade. And here we go. I think we're on here, guys. So exciting times. Matson leaves that one. That's another brave decision. And Jake says, well, I'm going to have to go this. Why wouldn't I? And so just hucks the fins out and falls down. So he did the right decision. He thinks Cade, he's got to go this. He's got no choice. 24 seconds on the clock. It's a smaller wave. He's just going to hope it builds down the line, starts pumping along. This is his last throw at the dice in this heat. Nice speed climb. Now it starts to reach out a little bit. And there's a carving turn. And there's another one. So staying busy, not quite the power of his first wave, but now he starts to wind up. He's got that real solid arm movement, that back arm cocks, and there's another top wave, and he just keeps plugging away. There's another one. So he's made the judges think about this, and the San Clemente crew are going to go nuts no matter what, and he finishes it off, and he likes it. You can see the emotion, you can see what it meant, because that was with 20 seconds to go. So he likes it. I mean, he couldn't have done anything more. He's pumped. He only needs a 6.84. Is it better than his first wave? It was longer. There was more turns. Was it more impact? Well, Jake Marshall, he, you know, on the other hand, you can see his frustration to not get that wave, to have a really solid kind of connection and be in the lead until the very last minute. So we're just seeing what's going on here. The San Clemente guys are going through the replay. And we see here, Cade, well, he liked it. He couldn't have done any more. He waited, he was patient. And I'll get you to talk us through, Philippe, because this is a big one.
I'm going to be super critical. He did really well, but I think he mistimed this section on the outside. He kind of ran away from the wave, and obviously he got the connection right here. The inside was really well served. I think on the outside he could have taken advantage of those bigger turns, but yeah, you know what? It's going to be another clutch moment, another finishing wave right on the end, and he's going to finish this one off.
I mean, there was a lot of dots on that wave, wasn't there?
Really good.
There was a lot of dots. Chico, did he connect them enough to get the score? A high 6. Really different from his first wave. That's what the judges are going to be comparing. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I think the start was a bit slow. The wave was really small, and you had to generate a lot of speed towards the end of the wave. But after the first couple of turns, he actually got some rhythm going at the end. So I don't know. I just feel like it can be close, but I don't think it's a 7 just because of the start of that one. So I think even in comparison to Jake's 7.5, that's not close to it. So I don't think it's enough.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot smaller, wasn't it? And he you know, he absolutely did everything he could. Jake had a bit more variety too in terms of getting fin release, and just the wave offered the chance to do a few different maneuvers. Cade has bigged it up. He needs a 6.84. You know, he's sitting on 10th on the rankings. There's 4 or 5 guys above him. One of those is Jackson Baker, who's coming in the booth next. Don't worry about that. But there's guys above him that have all been knocked out. So this is absolutely huge. A heat win here, and the score comes in at a 6.27. And he doesn't get it. He's about to find out potentially on the screen. We know the score. He doesn't. Jake's got it, and he's just He knows now, so Jake knows, and you can see him compressing on that result. Got a bit of support there. And he's, you know, the disappointment is writ large on his face, and he's just taken some deep breaths. A lot of pats on the backs, a lot of support. A lot of guys going, mate, don't worry about that. Wash it off. That's why Griffin's experience is key. But you got to process it yourself. No one else can, and he's doing that right now. Heads on hands. So while he gets his composure, while we get our composure, we're going to a short commercial break and come back with the last heat of the day of the EDP Vissla Ericeira Pro right after this.
The EDP Vissla Ericeira Pro presented by Estrella Galicia is brought to you by EDP, Surf for Tomorrow, by Vissla, creators and innovators, by Estrella Galicia, brewed and bottled in Galicia, Spain since 1906, and by Visit Portugal, Europe's best surf destination.
And welcome back to Rebela de Ilas. It's a beautiful sunny Saturday afternoon in one of the Europe's great surf capitals. My name's Ben Mundy, and we have got another cracking heat coming our way. The current number 2 on the Challenger Series rankings, a man who has already qualified for the CT and knows that now, Jacob Willcox, the goofy footer from West Oz, and a bit of an underdog. James Sikoki all the way from Ventura, low down in the ranking, surfed every heat so far from the round of 80. My name's Ben, as I said. This is Philippe Jervis. And can you put your hand up, please, Jackson Baker? So we've got Jackson Baker in the house, mate. And we've talked about these rankings. It's all about the ratings. We've got one event left. And I know you had a disappointing event and you're in the top 10. We're just talking about how that's not good, but it could have been potentially worse if other people capitalised. So how are you processing it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, losing sucks. Everyone knows that. Even if you get second in a contest, it still kind of sucks, your first loser. But yeah, 9th is it's kind of very, very, it's a tricky result. It's kind of a keeper, but it's not. A 5th's just that much better. So I definitely wanted a 5th or better, but I did say to myself before I came here, if I did get a 9th, I'd be, I don't know, semi-content that I'd betted my points going into Brazil and giving myself a much, much better chance. So, yeah, especially with a lot of other guys losing early. So, like you said, it could have been a whole lot worse for me. And, yeah, I'm not sitting in a bad spot, but has that different feel. As we see Jacob just fall off there on a little one. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be different this year. There's no Hawaii anymore, so I guess it's a fresh feeling. It's not got that Haleiwa, I know, not making the cut.
Worse?
I think it's better for me.
So?
I feel like just because growing up and even the other year when I was in Haleiwa, I didn't polish it off there, but still got really, really lucky. So now I'm going somewhere fresh. We made some heats in Saquarema the other year on tour, so I feel really comfortable there. So, yeah, I guess something fresh and there's not been that talk at Saquarema about that. I feel like it's going to be a huge, huge difference.
Yeah, and near Jacob's first wave there and just unstuck. That's an uncharacteristic mistake from a man who's been doing well all the whole event. There's Timothy Bisso, who's been in Jabe's corner, coaching him here. But right now, speaking to someone who smacked a few corners, that was Jake Marshall. He's down on the beach with Joanna Garnell.
That's right. Congratulations, Jake. You're in the quarterfinals. Tell us how that feels and how those last seconds, what was going through your mind?
Yeah, it feels really good to make the quarters. Feel like I'm getting my groove going over here, so it feels really nice. Yeah, I felt like I surfed pretty much a perfect heat. I don't know, like Cade did a really good job of just waiting, and we kind of had a slow heat after that first exchange, and he picked a good wave, and there's nothing I could really do at that point. So I was kind of just hoping that he didn't do enough, but yeah, sometimes it just comes down to that, and I was just kind of left it up to the judges and stoked that I was able to get through.
Did you watch his last wave?
Not really. I was kind of trying to look at the next wave after it and see if I could maybe better my 6, but yeah, so I didn't really know what he did. I was kind of just, I had no control over that, so I was just kind of letting it happen.
And you were just talking about your board. How is that feeling in these conditions?
Yeah, this board feels amazing, like definitely pretty magic board. So when the waves are small like this and you have a really good board, it feels kind of like you have an advantage over everybody else. So I have a lot of confidence right now, and the waves might get a little bigger tomorrow, but I have this one board I've been wanting to ride for like 3 events, and it's been small, so I haven't got to ride it yet. So if I get to jump on that one, I got another really good one as well. So I'm feeling really confident. I got great equipment. Just saw my Schaefer Marcio. He's over here. So, I mean, I can't thank everyone at Sharpeye enough. They've been amazing to me over my career, and they're always giving me great boards. So I can't thank those guys enough.
Well, you need to get here bright and early to test them out.
Yeah, I guess so, huh? But I don't know. I got a pretty good read on my board, so I'll just show up and be ready to roll.
Well, it absolutely looks like that. Congratulations. We'll see you in the quarterfinals.
Right on. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joanna. And Jake, yeah, we'll get through that interview as we see a battle there, and Willcox and Sikoki both paddling for it. Is that a potential priority?
It is. Looks like they've already made the call.
Yeah.
I think in this stuff, you've got to make the call pretty quick if you kind of think about if there's a next wave coming.
Yeah.
I think they've been pretty good with that all event, especially in these smaller conditions. The priority's got to be changed pretty fast to be able to capitalise on that. And that was definitely a huge mistake from Jabe there, especially Jacob had those few falls, those few small ones, and now to be back in, well, they've actually changed it. They haven't put it back up. But
yeah, they haven't got.
They're deliberating because Jacob paddled for it as well.
Yeah,
but you have to paddle for that in order to make him go. So it's always a. Oh, they've given it back.
Well, they've given it back. So after all that, so Jabe.
We were talking about them doing it a really good job, and something happened.
Yeah, they had to quickly regather, and it's obviously very important with more waves coming in. Jacob is just already going to make. He's not going to worry about that priority issue. He's just going to try and pounce on this first wave. So Willcox goes here, the West Aussie comes around the corner and just goes for the fin release, showing his confidence, bit of variety, and then a nice little vertical turn. This wave just getting a little bit sluggish in the middle bit, and that kicks out. So you can see his intent. Meanwhile, Jabe on the second wave, and there's a nice bit of spray from his turn, and this is the surfing we've seen all week. Low centre of gravity, just drives through each turn on his forehand. He's got a nice wrap, growing up on those Californian points, and it kind of shows. And there's another one. So just on the way, a better wave, a bigger wave. That priority was pretty important in that instance, Philippe. We'll get you to run through both of those. But yeah, Jabe, you know, as we said, first year in the Challenger Series, and just been showing no nerves the whole way through.
Yeah, it feels like he's really confident right now, and he has that connection with the wave. Definitely, he figured out the timing and the momentum of the wave, because sometimes it's really hard to figure out the timing and the momentum, and it feels like he has a really good board, a really good connection with the wave.
Yeah, and a few more lines approaching Willcox. I'm going to pick your brains a little bit about Jacob. You know that man pretty well, but this is the wave. Jackson Baker, what do you think? What do you like about this one?
Yeah, he did well to get definitely 3 nice turns out of the lip right at the start. Bummer was a bit late on that last one, but that second one he had a really nice connection, really nice wrap there. Another really good connection through the inside. So no major finish, which is always kind of tricky on these smaller days. Some of them have those really big end sections, which definitely leaves that in the judge's mind. But I feel like it's definitely the best score of the heat, pretty obvious. But yeah, Jabe's been surfing really good all contest. I actually hung out with him a bit earlier this year in Ventura and Santa Barbara, because he's sponsored by Channel Islands as well, and we're surfing a bunch. So I kind of thought he would make more heats on the Challengers, so it's kind of cool to see him, I don't know, get that one event, get the groove. He's still young, so yeah, his surfing's there, and we did surf some small days at Rincon, very similar to this, and he was flaring, so kind of good training ground for this, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, Willcox, yeah, and you've seen Jacob, you know, both Rip Curl team riders, so both done a lot of traveling together, both doing a lot of competing together, and he's you know, it's switched this year, hasn't it? It's clicked into place. What have you seen from Jacob that's different, or you know, what's it been like watching him just?
He's just a whole lot more relaxed this year. I feel like it gets to that point where we've all been doing it. I mean, me and Jacob, especially Kalani Ball as well, us three, we've been on the prime since we were 17. So it's a fair slog, and you see those guys qualify out of nowhere. Not out of nowhere, but like Cal Rubbs and Morgan, so to say. Like, then you got the boys like myself and Jacob and that, like, slogging away at it for a while. So I feel like during that process you learn a whole lot more. I mean, I was really lucky in that COVID year to sneak on and had like a year and a half on there, and I'm still trying to fight to get back. But I mean, there's so many years there where Jacob was so close that it could have gone either way. Like those close calls, not making a tour, you can almost stop it and just kind of go, am I going to keep doing this to myself? But I feel like he came back this year with a new feeling of just going, hey, I'm just going to give it a way less, not so much, just not caring much about the result, just caring about your surfing and your boards, and I feel like that changes a lot. Yeah. As soon as you're letting a result define a contest, I mean, if your boards and you're ripping and I know you lose, it may not be necessarily you. Everything else feels pretty good. So. And obviously, I mean, we've always known it, but just his surfing is just at another level, isn't it? I mean, when 100%. You see him in form, especially when you see him in good waves, when he turns it on, it's truly elite, isn't he? He's a freak. Yeah, well, we only really get to see him in this stuff, and he's still one of the best in this. Wait till you see him in a 10 to 15 foot left pit. Even a right pit, he's a psychopath. So, he's got, like, to go on tour, especially first event at Pipe, Sunset, coming back here to Peniche, like, he had the Wild Card when he was 16 and Peniche beat Kelly, like, I don't know. He's making the cut. Like, I mean, I don't want to put pressure on him, but there's guys where you go, they're making the cut. So, and I mean, especially last event, coming into the cut at Margaret River, home break, I mean, he's kind of got it pretty dialed in. So, but like we said, it's been a long time coming for Chippo to finally qualify. And I mean, as a friend, we're all competitors and we're all trying to do it ourselves, but I'm really, genuinely, really happy for Jacob to have finally cracked it. Yeah, he really deserves it. Yeah, he does. And I think everyone is, you know, everyone that knows him and sort of come across him, because he's not one to ever throw his toys out of the pram, is he? Or he's not one to lose his cool. He never blames anyone, but, you know, so he's one of those guys that's always just got on with the job and done it in a way that's, you know, never rankled people. He's always got so many mates, isn't he? So, yeah, to have all that and put all in, and for all that hard work, he said, you know, 6-7 years of on the job, on the tools, and the crack at you, you got to be stoked. Yeah, especially those 3 close years. I think it might have been the last 3. It was within a heat or a few 100 points, which isn't much. Can be a heat make in round 1 or a round 2 and stuff like that. So, yeah, like I said, he definitely deserves it. And especially this event, like, he's on the back foot now. Jabe's got a 6.33 off the bat for that first one, which is a great score. Yeah, and this was in Bolito. This is a wave of Jacob Willcox. He just slides into it, gets absolutely pitted and comes out. And then watch this at the end, a massive hack, and that was a 10-point ride. You see that one, Jacko? Yeah, I was sitting on the deck. I had a heat later that day, and I was losing it. All the boys were down there watching. I was screaming. Bolito's got all the little hotels on the beach, and everyone was losing it. It was that heat was probably the heat of the year. I'm calling him and Morgs had like 16 points plus. It was really cool. Yeah. And Jacob doesn't claim much, so for him to claim, like, it's it's that good. Yeah. So yeah, we've got a bit of a rule going. If you claim under an 8-point ride, it's a round of beers for all the Aussie boys. Right. Okay. And then if you claim over a 9 in a clutch position, everyone buys you a round. Everyone gets you beers. So yeah, I owe the boys one for a claim the other day, but I don't know, if you're claiming and making the heat, I don't mind buying the boys beers. It keeps the boys fueled up. So. Okay, live action. So Jabe without priority on a smaller inside wave. First turns, a lot of spray. Gets that fins out a little bit, and then another one. So 2 clicks. Small wave, but he's managed to back up and score, and he's still got a bit left. You see Jake just watching out the back, and here he goes, one more.
So just, you know, it's pretty smart surfing this time, Philippe. We saw him get that better of the exchange of a 6-3-3, and without priorities decided to back it up. And we saw Matson spent 20 minutes trying to back up a score. So Philippe, I think that's pretty smart.
Yeah, that's the perfect strategy. You wait for that bigger one, you get the score, and you go back. You don't have priorities. You might as well just to back it up real quick. He's going to put something on board. Nothing too major, but these first 2 turns, look at this. He has such an amplitude coming off the bottom, just drifting those tails, kicking that back foot. The wave is so small, and he can actually generate so much speed and so much power through those turns. And as he gets on the inside, another snap. It's just the boards keep on going. He's doing a really good job on smaller waves. So that's going to be a good backup. Obviously, he needs to improve on this wave. But this combination of 2 turns, Jaco, that's really good. It's really hard to do on smaller waves.
100%. And on those smaller ones, it is hard on days like this because you kind of are capped at probably like a 5-5, no matter how crazy you go. But I feel like for that, if he gets a 5-5 out of this, which I think he will, like, that's a great backup score for a really, really small wave. So he's got a 4 for that. That's really hard to, no matter how big you go.
Exactly, because it's a smaller wave, but it did really well. This 2-turn combo was actually really, really big, as you see.
There's a big
live
first
action.
turn.
So Willcox, this is a bit more, a little bit stuck for him, but now he starts to get his groove back. Got that trademark sort of backhand, so his leg gets bent, and he's just warming up here. It's a much bigger wave. Much
bigger.
And Willcox is starting to warm up. He's got a massive turn. He finishes off strong, and that's the confidence. He's making less mistakes. That's another thing, isn't it, about Jacob? He always had that. He had a mistake in him, didn't he? And there's the Aussies. They like it. Polite.
Still hanging around, everyone?
Like, everyone's hanging around. I feel like over the years, and especially as you, like Jacob, I think he said it a bunch in a bunch of interviews, it's like as you mature more, I think when we were young, we kind of took it for granted. It was like, oh, we're away from our family, we're this and that. Now we're maturing.
Let's talk me through this, please, Baker. What's he got here?
A bit sticky on the first turn there. I really like this second one. Well, I mean, he got 3 out of the lip turns at the start. I think his finish was the best part, so he's definitely leaving that in the mind of the judges. But this wave's 2 times the size of Jabe's last one, so I'm going to go out on a limb and probably say it's the best wave of the heat.
Yeah.
Probably in that high 6 range. But yeah, he did well, and he picked the eyes out of it. Look, the next wave of the set, there's not even anything there, so to be able to pick this one out of a small bunch and definitely used his priority very well and finished super strong.
Yeah, I'd like to see that little angle. You might see those fins get out the back of the wave. Here it is here. It'll show him how much more technical it is.
So vert and through fins. That's so hard to do on. I mean,
especially
and that,
like, especially on these kind of conditions.
On the end too, like it's like that's the hardest thing as well in surfing. Is like judges want big finishes, but a wave like this, when you work an overdrive, your legs are already gassed by the end of it, and then you want to do your biggest turn to finish strong. So that's when you got to really reward that stuff. That was a really, really well done job for him there. And he needs a 6.96 to go to the lead. I reckon it's within that area.
Oh, it's definitely going to be close.
So he's gone in. It's going to be close. So Jacob right back in it no matter what. And we should see hopefully a few more lines. So yeah, 20 minutes left to go. The 40-minute heats means these surfers get a load of opportunity, even though the sets are infrequent compared to normal. This part of the world, they're still coming in, and he's hunting a little insider. So like Jabe, looking at it, maybe just backing up that score. He doesn't, leaves that one alone for now. Jabe, meanwhile, doesn't know what Jacob's got just yet, but he's paddling. So he's going to go.
It's an interesting use from our angle.
Yeah, so he's pulled the trigger with priority. Another smaller wave. You can see how it's smaller than Jacob's, but he's got such a good driving technique. Gets a little bit stuck there, and that's a mistake for Lee because he had priority. It wasn't, a set wave, and there's 20 minutes left. I don't know, and he didn't pay off.
Yeah, he did not need to go on that wave because we're seeing Jacob's last wave dropping in. It's going to be a 6.77, so it's going to put him up there, and a little bit of a mistake by Jabe here. Obviously, he surfed it really well. Second big turn, he's going to get stuck here because the wave just kind of disappeared. And yeah, I don't think he needed to go on that because he had the priority. He could have waited a little longer. Obviously, we saw Cade on the last heat. He waited almost 20 minutes for a single wave, and there's always that that factor of a risk, but it definitely didn't need that.
Well, it's about to find out whether it's going to pay even more with Jacob Willcox. First turn is strong. It's a bit bigger wave. Now he's starting to get that vertical 12 o'clock, and there's a third one. So 3 outside turns and a fourth. And it's so whippy and so much power. That's been the basis of his rise to this CT this year. And it doesn't have the end section, but it had a lot of force, I'll get you to talk me through it, actually. I don't know why I'm trying to talk it through, Jackson. You're his mate, and you're the CT expert. But
he looked really spicy on that one. And especially when Jabe goes that one that's probably not even a first priority wave, let alone a second priority wave. And Jacob takes off on this one behind with priority. Just had that flow. Nice first turn. Nice connection there. I really like this fourth turn. This fourth turn is probably the turn of the wave. Threw a lot of spray and still managed to get a fifth one there. So it's a bummer he didn't get a big finish, but I feel like the damage was already done. And
yeah, you were bang on with that 6.77 for his first wave. And then here we go here. Once he starts finding his groove.
Once he winds up.
Yeah, he really does, doesn't he? He pushes that sort of arm behind him with the water almost. See it there? He sort of just puts almost like a rudder just to get himself set with his backhand. And then he just starts to flare up. The sun catching those sprays. So great surfing from Jacob. He got a 5.73, so he immediately backs up his 6.77, and now leaving Jabe with a requirement of 6.18. He does have priority. Not a huge score, but Jacob has turned the heat pretty quickly there, Philippe.
Yeah, he did exactly what Jabe did on the beginning of the heat. So he got that bigger score, and he backed it up immediately, and that just put him on a good position. And now Jabe, with 80 minutes remaining, he just needs to wait for one of those bigger waves, because you know that the scores are coming, the bigger ones, the big scores are coming on the bigger waves. So it just needs to wait, because there's still plenty of time. 80 minutes is pretty much a heat.
Yeah, that's a normal
Exactly.
QS heat back in the day.
Yeah.
Four man, no priority, 20-minute heats is what we used to deal with. Yeah. I don't think I had too many best fours, but yeah, 20 minutes.
And mate, what about your year, Jackson? Obviously, it was disappointing not to make the cut after you had a good year the year before. And how'd you sort of, how'd you process that? How'd you deal with it? The Challenger Series provides a good way to come back straight away. But yeah, how'd you go, mate? It can't be easy to deal with that.
No, I feel like it being the second year that it happened, I feel like there's a lot more emotion and the first year, and especially when I just snuck past the cart, and everything kind of went my way that day, and a few of the boys fell off. Some of my close friends like Leo, Ryan, Morgan. But it seemed a lot more grim that year at Margie's, and then this year it was just kind of everyone more understood what they were in for. Like the Challengers had run that whole year. You've seen the boys turn it around. Jiao's world number 5 after falling off. Leo had his best year. Ryan had a great year as well. As we see Jacob taking off on an inside one.
Yeah. Live action as we see Jacob again. Just this one might have a bit of inside as he starts to look down the line. There's another one. Just gets that DHD a little bit caught in the flats and goes down. So we'll see if that improves on his 5.73. Doesn't seem it does. Yeah, so I suppose that does a bit of, you get your head around it basically.
Yeah.
And then, so you're able to switch pretty quick. But this wave here, is that a mistake to take off? But he just never found his feet. Philippe.
I think he actually just wants to have fun right now. He has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Just might as well just keep that board rolling. And he got a bit of a mistake there, but I don't think he was going to improve on that 5.73. Maybe trying to put a little pressure. That was a really sick turn. Just drifting the tail off the back straight into a nice one, straight into the next one. Really strong. But for me, I think he might be playing a little bit of a mental game with Jabe. Just being active and making Jabe second-guessing himself of, should I go on one of those insiders? But you know what? He needs to wait for a bigger one just to make sure he gets a higher score. And it looks like there's a few lines out the back.
Yeah, there's some corduroy coming our way. Jabe, you can just see him just duck his head under the water, refocus, and grab a breath. If this set does look like it's going to be one of the bigger ones, he's only probably going to get potentially 2 in the rest of the heat, so he has to take maybe stock, but he's just leaving that first one. Sometimes those bigger ones just don't sort of hit the reef right, but this next one, it might be a possibility. Jabe needing a 6.18 is his current requirement, but it didn't work out. So there you go. That shows you how much I know about the lineup. But while that set just rolls on through over the reef, we're going to go to a short commercial break and come back with the last 15 minutes of the last heat of the day of the EDP Vissla Ericeira Pro right after this. Last heat of the day, Jacob Willcox will Challenger Series number 2, the CT qualifier up against Jabe Swikoki, and it's a tight run thing. I've joined in the booth by Jackson Baker, of course Philippe Jervis here as well, and Jackson, you got knocked out yesterday, but tell you what, mate, you went down swinging. Let's say.
I nearly knocked myself out quite literally, didn't I?
Yeah, we might have a look.
Nah. I got pretty belted though.
Yeah, we end up on those rocks. I've been saying, yeah, I'm no geologist, but those rocks don't seem soft, do
no,
they?
They're harder than most.
They're harder.
The Portuguese rocks don't miss, that's for sure.
And this was it here. So talk us through your thought process, mate.
Well, I guess it's the end of the heat. It's my last chance at trying to get an 8, and I felt like I did a bit of damage out the back. I definitely needed that finish, and I feel like when you're tunnel vision, you're not really looking at the beach. You're not really looking at how close you are to the rocks. It's not until you actually complete that end turn that you realise where you are. I go, oh yeah, sweet, I've got heaps of time for finish. Boom. Oh no, and I kind of sacrificed my board and myself. And
do you get any dings on the board?
Yeah, the board's unfortunately no good. The back fin, the plugs kind of snapped. The fins flayed out like a wing, and the other parts of the board are all good. But this was the worst part. I just wanted to get out of there, even though I didn't. No, I wasn't going to get another chance. It just kept breaking waves on me. The boys going, "You all right?" I was like, "Oh, I guess so. I'm sweet." I couldn't really find a way out of there, but yeah, I wouldn't change it. I'd do it again. Anytime you need a score, you go down swinging and.
No long-lasting damage, no injuries, no scars.
Nah,
no
there was a
blood
bit of a cork. I guess the lactic acid builds up, so it probably made it even worse. Finishing another 8-turn wave and then falling on the rocks and kind of hitting your legs. So,
well, mate, it's the stuff we love. It's the stuff surf fans love. That's why you're such a you got so many fans out there. Because
I should have come up bleeding. Might have got the score, if I really risked it. But
just show the judges all the scars and all the.
Yeah, you got to do that stuff though. I've seen Zeke do it the other year. He did an error on the rocks the other year and got an 8. So I had that similar thought process that I might as well. I mean, you're never shying away from a big section or a section in front of the rocks if you're needing a score.
Yeah, and it was a tough heat. You had Cole Houshman. Obviously, he's the only guy above Jacob, and he's been on a tear all year and also at this event. So he's another guy that hopefully you'll be up there surfing against him on the CT next year. He seems to have it all. Like Jacob, he's got the whole package, right?
Yeah, 100%. Cole's an amazing surfer. He's had a few years like Jacob as well. That's been a few points off or a few spots off, and there he is. There, look, he's a big fella. He's a big fella. Yeah, he's massive. Like I call myself a bigger guy, not in stature, more weight and strength, and he's a lot bigger than me. It was pretty funny. We were joking about it before the heat yesterday. We're like, it's small. At least we're against each other. Like if just say we were versing like Jacob, we've probably got 10 kilos on him. Like so. we kind of had that joke. But I felt like that was a really, really big heat, especially for him on the top of the rankings. It was for myself, so it was nice that, I mean, still, like I said, it's no fun losing, but losing with 15 points, you know, you put up a fight and there's not really much more I could have done. So,
yeah, he said he had his sort of small wave sort of ball was a 6-1. That was his little go-to. He dropped down a few inches. I mean, that's how much of a
I'd hate to see how many litres are in those things. Probably like 33 on his groveler. But nah, he's a great surfer, and like I said with Jacob, they're both two very deserving guys, and you see him in this contest so far. As soon as you find out you're qualified, pressure's off. Like, even I joked about it before the heat yesterday. I was like, Cole's going to be so hard to beat just because he's got no pressure. And I mean, I've done this for a long, long time now. I'm trying not to put pressure on myself because I know what it did to me in 2021. I still ended up getting on tour, but it ate away at me and I didn't really finish the job. So this year I'm just kind of, as long as my surfing's feeling good and my boards are feeling good, then the results will follow.
Yeah, speaking of your boards, you said you did a bit of board testing with Jabe up there in the Channel Islands, mate. How good is it to go over there and spend some time in California and hang out with Britt, I'd imagine, and guys, team riders like Jabe, and just dial in those boards, because you've been on those Channel Islands for a while now. It must be a great relationship.
I guess it's really fun to be within a company that I'm able to get boards in Australia, I'm able to get boards in Europe, I'm able to get boards in America from Britt, from the source. So to be able to have that is incredible. And yeah, I mean, I'm getting magic boards from everywhere, so I'm just kind of I'm getting really good boards from Brit, I'm getting really good boards from Australia. So I'm really, really lucky to have that. So I'm on all Australia boards here, but yeah, a few of the CT events I was on Brit's boards, and just having that luxury of getting boards from anywhere, and they all work.
Yeah, how many boards do you need just to find that magical one? just a question.
It's tricky. Like with a new batch, say from like Brit, maybe like you get like a batch of 4. There'll definitely be 3 out of that that's really good, or even all of them. Now I've been talking to him a lot about those boards. And then because I've been with the guys in Australia for a long, long time as well, like the board I rode here is a replica of the board I rode in 2021. Right. I just kind of same length, went a touch wider and a touch thicker just because I'm a bit bigger than what I was, probably a bit stronger than back then. And ordered 2 of them and 1 hit. One was just, it was like, oh, I'm back on the same magic I had that in 2021.
That's all you need, right?
That's all you need.
Yeah,
so
that one magical board, and yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, so unfortunately that one, I could probably try to get it fixed, but the tail's pretty bent out and it probably might be a bit heavy. So I did order a different model for Sakurama, which is the CI Pro 2.0.
Yeah.
Which is their new model. So I'll probably just concentrate on that. It's probably sounds real bad. It might be a blessing in disguise. I'm not confused on what to ride. I just go.
It's hard to not to get over picky, isn't it? Like sometimes it's just this board because. Yeah, I'm not a picky guy on boards. Like, for me, anything goes, but you can definitely feel the difference between a magical one and a good board.
For sure.
Yeah. But it feels like when you're on that level, if just everyone gets super picky and restrict on those boards, it's good.
We saw in the it's interesting, the Stab series, how surfers get paid with it, and the boards you get, and then how they get rid of them, and it was a little insight into, because you always get so many, and it's such a fascinating. I mean, it's your only real massive piece of equipment, isn't it? It's so important. It's like your car, Formula One car, isn't it? So you got to go through them. You got to get it right, hey?
Got to get it right, but not overcomplicated as well. I feel like that's a huge thing. That I was lucky enough that there was a bit of time between when I qualified to getting on the tour. I had a bit of time because I kind of changed my boards to suit the CT. Kind of jumped on the newer Channel Islands models because I was riding the old Geordie model, the G Rabbit, which is what I rode here when I qualified. So. Yeah, but that was cool to be able to adjust back and bring that back to this event when I need it. Like,
because you need different boards if you're on Challengers and on the CT. That's for sure.
And there's Jacob. He's been working with Darren Hanley for a long time. And I tell you what, these 3 waves are absolutely massive without priority. 4 amazing backhand turns. James made a mistake. So we just talk about experience and that rookie sort of elements, and you make mistakes. You make more mistakes when you're young, and that's how you learn from them. But Jacob Willcox just seemed absolutely belted it. There's only one Australian term you could use for that, and it was belted it. And the spray generates, Jacko, is incredible.
Just it's all. I mean, it's these boards. He's been working with Darren for a long, long time, and just his timing, like. That was a smaller wave. Those first, I was going to say 3, you got 4. Like, And you can even see at the end here, like I said, Jacob's not a huge claimer, but you'll see just this bit of body language as he flicks out. He's just a touch more aggressive. There's the hands there. You can tell he's hyped on that. That's a low-key little thing for Chippo. I've been watching him for a long time that I know those things.
Yeah, the little signs that he's happy with himself.
I'll probably do a big fist bump and actually claim it, but he has these little low-key claims. But those 4 connections were ridiculous. And we've just looked over to our left and an 817 on the board. And
huge number.
Huge turn of the under priority.
It wasn't even that big of a wave.
Nah, he created that score.
Yeah, just you had that steeper wall, and on your backhand, you feel like you can attack it, and he did 4 huge turns on the small
He could have
wave.
flicked off after the 4.
Yeah,
Call it a day.
And you saw the little flick of the water, another little, probably a little sign you've seen when you heard the score. So, yeah, incredible surfing. And, well, suddenly, Jabe, he had priority. He needed a low score. And just with that one set, it's just absolutely gone, not out of his range completely, but very, very difficult. 4.5 minutes and 8.61 required. And, yeah, that talent and that experience is shining here with Willcox. Jabe's, still in the hunt, still will try all his best, but you think that might be a pretty pivotal exchange. And without priority to do it, it's all the more disheartening for Jabe. But we've still got a bit of time. He just marches on, Willcox. Him and Hauschman, probably the only 2 guys, I think, in the whole top sort of 10 that's still left in there, at the top of the rankings. So just further anything. But this is a recap, and Philippe, Jabe, well, this is, really strong surfing. Started off nice, perfect start almost.
Yeah, I started off really well with this 6.33, a nice looking wave, just connecting those turns and just pushing that back foot just as strong as possible. And unfortunately for him, a couple of tactical mistakes. He didn't get the biggest waves or the best waves, and you know what? When you go up against a guy like this, he's not going to give you an inch. And he got a big look at the size of this wave, a lot bigger turns. And you know what? This is 6.77, and that's exactly what you want. These are the types of wave you want in Ribeiradilhas. That wall just stretches out, and we see it. Look at the verticality on that one. It's just pushing that tail. That's really good technical surfing. And you know what? You can also get high scores on smaller waves. You just need to do this. Attack it step by step. No extra movement. The timing is pristine. Everything was perfect on that wave. It's just the size of the, because I think he did that. If he does that on a bigger wave, that's going to be a 9.5 or even a 10. Who knows? Because it's perfect surfing, fast speed, power, and flow, and just the timing as we see straight live action.
Yeah, Jabe tries to respond, and 2 minutes on the clock. A bit of tail drift, and there goes a nice second turn.
It's a good
bit of a trademark.
Wave.
That's a nice third turn. So he's fighting all the way. Just lacking probably the board speed of Willcox, but he's doing different turns in that forehand. He's waiting for needs a big finish. Sort of similar turn there and another. I mean, it's really, really well surfed. He needs a huge number. He might have given himself an opportunity to Bisso, who they've been travelling with. Their 2 partners are good mates, and you can tell by his sort of clapping that it wasn't a massive sort of claim, but he surfed it really well. Jackson?
It's definitely his best wave of the heat, and it's the best wave he's chosen as well, and he surfed it really, really well. If this was, I don't know, say 6 to 8 minutes before, I'd say game on. He'd be bettering his situation and probably only needing that mid to high 7 mark. But hats off to him to be able to, I know you're in a heat with a very, very experienced Challenger Series competitor in Jacob Willcox, who's not going to let you get away with mistakes.
And he's not stopping either. He's not going to give up just yet. He's just kicks out, sees his opponent actually down the line, so decides to take priority and keep the heat on rather than try and improve on it, which needs a pretty big number. So again, just smart surfing, gaining control of the heat. And even though this wave may have had potential, I think there's more rewards in being in priority and making sure he can stop his opponent from having another wave. And
that's just been super smart. That you can get a bit of a rush of blood and go, oh, I just want to finish one at the end of the heat. I feel like I'm in the lead.
Surfing so good, when you feel you're surfing as good as you can. But yeah,
imagine he goes to the end of that, he gets like a 6.83, and then the bomb comes at the end. He marginally betters, and then Jabe gets the best wave of the heat right on the buzzer. So.
Yeah, it's playing better than to be safe than to be sorry in that incident. And Jacob there now with 45 seconds on the clock. That score coming in for Jay will make a bit of a difference. Might just lower his requirement potentially, but the time is the issue here. Although just out the back, a few more lines coming in. They're having a chat about things.
That's a cool thing about surfing. It's just...
Are you much of a chatter out there in the lineup, mate?
I love chatting. I was chatting to Cole the whole time yesterday.
Well, I did see that,
I can
actually.
talk underwater. It doesn't affect my competition. So if I can get in someone's head, I'm like, oh. I was going, come on, mate, you're at the top of the rankings. Chill out a little bit, eh? Like, it's all good. This one doesn't mean anything for you. Just like all friendly chit chat as Chippo blocks him on the last wave. And
yeah.
You would probably say game, set, match.
Yeah.
It's another good looking wave as well.
There he goes. A bit of variety, a bit of flair. He's actually just showing off now.
Yeah, this is what I mean. This is what I said to Cole yesterday. Chill out, boys. You're just at the top. Let us all have a crack, eh? But nah, when you're at the top and you've had years like they have, they can, I don't know, go up a level. And they've actually both said that in interviews. The rest of the year they want to improve and get better for the CT, because I mean that is another level above. And yeah, but that was a really, really good heat.
Yeah, great. And thanks for, you would have been down there on the beach cheering, so thanks for coming up into the booth and taking your time to talk through your good friend and also your year. A big event coming up in Brazil, mate, so we wish you all the best in Saquarema. It's all on the line, which is the way you like it. I mean, you're a big sports nut. Like, it's on the line. You got to get a result. Happy days.
100%. Ideally, I came here saying I wanted to win this event. There's a few family things I wanted to get home for, but that didn't happen. You've got to have a goal. You've got to manifest it. And, yeah, I mean, I don't mind a bit of pressure. I think I'm a bit older and a bit more mature than the other year when it kind of got the better of me. So, yeah, going to Brazil, fired up to just go seal this thing up and get back where I feel like I belong, and to be able to do it with a couple of close mates and be out there with the boys and back with Connor and Ryan and all the rest of the Aussie boys would be really, really exciting.
Okay, well, wish you all the best with that. And there's Jabe. He's had a really, really good run here. That's got some serious points. It'll go up the ratings quite considerably, and also just in terms of experience and coming up with these guys, really, really great surfers.
Big score for that last one too. They
7.7, yeah.
7.7. So, like I said, 8 minutes earlier, you need a 7.25 now. You're leaning less of that. So, I know, hats off to him. That's a really, really good heat, especially for someone first year on the Challengers. Best result to date. Congrats to Chippo. He's going into finals day, and I'm going to make a bit of a prediction. I think it could be a Cole Jacob final with the no pressure on both of those lads. That's my prediction. I'll throw it out there. I'll throw it out there.
You know what? They're the top two seeds. The next surfer, I think, in the event is Jake Marshall, and he was in 15th. So that's how much.
Big gap.
That's how many people have been cleared out in this event. So yeah, you wouldn't want to bet against those two. They're the two form surfers of the Challenger Series. They're the only two guys that qualify for the CT, and they've just been posting huge numbers. Yeah, Davey Mack down there coming out of the West Aussies, having a bit of a debrief, which is great. But yeah, well, as we said, all the best, Saquarema. Thanks for your time and energy. We're going to go soon to the Estrella Galicia post show while you go and have a bit of a debrief with Chippo. We really appreciate it. And enjoy the rest of your time in Portugal as well. There's waves coming. I'm sure you'll be getting amongst it. And all the best, mate.
For sure. Couple glasses of red, couple beers, and enjoy the Portuguese ways of life. And best way to get ready for the last event of the year.
Yes.
Exactly, mate. You know how to live. You know how to live. Okay. All right. We're going to go to a short commercial break, though. We're going to come back with all the highlights, the EDP wave of the day, and the Estrella Galicia post show with Paul Evans and Felicity. So please come back right after this.
And a very warm welcome to the Estrella Galicia post-show on a sultry Saturday afternoon in Ericeira, Portugal, on the Challenger Series. Not a big afternoon in terms of the number of heats we've run, but a crucial one in terms of the running of this event and setting up for a scintillating finals day tomorrow, where we're also anticipating the swell to ramp up considerably. Here to talk you through the meat and bones of the day, joining myself, Paul Evans, Felicity Palmatier, Philip Jervis. That was a fun afternoon.
Yeah, it was. And a really good call by Travis Logie this morning. Obviously going on hold for the morning and really just trying to pick the eyes out of it today. And we saw some good surfing for the waves that we had on offer.
Oh, definitely. Glassy, sunny, warm weather, and fun waves. I think it was the right call. We really needed to finish these 4 heats just to make sure we have time to do everything tomorrow. It's going to be a huge finals day.
Yeah, so we were basically looking at what's a smaller day this morning. We had some issues with the tide and we had holds, and the decision to come back and run this afternoon kind of vindicated mainly in terms of scores, Flick.
For sure. I mean, we're looking at today. It was challenging. It definitely was. There was some longer, inconsistent heats. But when those waves came through, we saw some really big numbers still. And, yeah, some really exciting moments from
Yeah,
surfers.
and so much at stake here, Philippe, at this stage. It's easy to understand nerves coming through, but it's not what we saw today. It looked like performances, surfers full of confidence, putting their hands up to come back for finals day. Someone that did that, the very last heat of the day, someone who's going to the championship tour, Jacob Willcox, is standing by for a chat.
That's right. What an end to that day. Surfing with that pressure seems to be working really well for you. Is this a feeling you can maintain? You can keep this for when it really matters?
I don't know about no pressure. I feel like it's a bit of a myth. You just like create pressure on yourself in a different way. So it's still exciting for me, and I just want to keep going in the event. I feel like it was a fun heat. I feel like my timing was so off on my first 2 waves, and I finally kind of found it on that 8, which felt pretty good. I wasn't sure where they were going to go because it was a small wave, but I was like, oh, at least I got my timing right. That felt good. But yeah, it was a fun battle.
Well, tomorrow, if you make it to the finals, you're going to be surfing 3 heats. So that's going to be a lot of surfing. How are you going to maintain that momentum for the whole day? And in this heat, you just surfed 11 of them, so that's a pretty good start.
Yeah, that's a lot of waves considering I don't even know if there was 11 waves that broke out there. I don't know, just take it 1 heat at a time. Hey, tomorrow, see where that kind of leads me, and hopefully it's a little bit bigger. If it's a little bit bigger, it should be a bit easier to surf. There wasn't a lot of power in the waves out there, so hopefully a bit more size and hopefully a few more fun heats.
And are you going to test out the waters before everything happens?
Tomorrow morning, yeah, I'll probably jump in the water. The water's so nice and refreshing. It's been so hot on land, so I'll jump in for a little dip and, yeah, hopefully be ready to go for a big finals day.
Not as cold as that ice bat, right?
I don't know, it's close. But no, the ice bat's definitely got it.
Well, great job. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Joanna. Flick, you know this guy well. He seems like such a cool customer. He's always very measured. Victory, defeat, he keeps things on a pretty even keel.
Yeah, he does. Definitely part of his demeanour. But, yeah, he really put together another massive heat. That's a big score total for today, 14.94. We were actually on our break and there was not much going on. And then all of a sudden I looked up while we were going for a swim and I just saw backhand hit after backhand hit, so precisely well timed. I was like, that must be Jacob. Just so in momentum and so in the rhythm. No doubt. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a win here. He hasn't had one yet.
All right, well, we will look forward to tomorrow and see what it brings with the surf coming up. Meanwhile, looking at our talking points for today, and we've identified, well, there's a few really close heats, but one of them is the All-American encounter. And actually, Fick, we were talking about this and talking about Jake Marshall and how he's kind of somehow one of the big names there, but he's been a little bit under the radar and he needed to bring his A-game to get past a very sharp Cade Matson.
For sure. Cade's been absolutely on fire this whole event. Just like turns like this and surfing like this, just for me, he's been a talking point in our post shows throughout the event. But yeah, it was the man behind him, Jake Marshall. He has just been the dark horse throughout this event, just plugging away, just chipping away at it, getting through the heats. And a couple of things needed to happen today, and they actually did. So basically, the way we see it now is Imai needed to lose the round of 16 heat, and so did Michael Rodriguez, which means that now Jake Marshall has a chance at actually qualifying if he wins this event. So those 2 other scenarios are out. It's all in his hands and all up to Jake now. If he can actually qualify and make it official here in Portugal if he takes out the event.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see tomorrow. I think everything is going to change because of the size of the waves, and it's going to be interesting to see who's going to adapt the better because it's going to be different equipment, different paddling, different positioning. Everything will change, and even though Jack Marshall absolutely destroyed this heat, look at this turn, just drifting those tail, and again just pushing that back foot really strong. And you know, actually Cade got an opportunity right at the end. He got a 6 point, and he got a 6.27. He needs something a little bit higher, but look at the size of this wave, and it's just the swell direction. Just even if it's this small, the swell direction just gives you the extra little push on the wave. And this is Cade's last minute effort. He actually, I think here was the main, he kind of ran away from the power source of the wave, and I think that it was actually the main factor why that score wasn't as high as he needed. He served it really well. Obviously, the inside part, it was really well served. Some really nice turns and really nice connection in between turns. And this part of the wave gets really small, but he actually did really well. Just kept that momentum, and he's gonna show some emotion on this one. But I think that the outside section, as you see the emotional part, all the boys from the US, he felt it. I think he felt it. He felt this loss more than any other loss throughout the year, and this guy felt the win probably more than any other win throughout the year. So a bit of a contrast in there.
Yeah, tough one for Cade to take, but you know what? He's real close. A big result in Brazil. He's had a great season, but you can see how much it meant to Cade Matson not to make it through there, and by contrast how elated Jake Marshall is. And it's super high stakes. If you come back for finals day, you're setting yourself up in really good stead to go up through the ratings. That was the All-American clash. We had an all-Brazilian clash. That was a really interesting one, and we were also talking about surfers that you kind of pick out, not only the ones through the early rounds that surf really well, like Michael Rodriguez, but the likes of this guy, Mateus Herdy. You just feel with smaller, softer conditions, that's when he comes to the foreflip.
For sure. This was a really interesting heat on paper. I mean, you look at both of these guys, both surfing for Brazil. One guy, Emrod, he's had World Tour experience. Mateus Herdy, younger surfer. He's been on the Challenger Series for a while, or qualifying series for a while, trying to crack it. He's dropping free surfing, amazing clips all the time, but you know, he just hasn't quite cracked the CT yet, right? So coming into this heat, you've got to think Emrod on paper, but Mateus was just looking in fine form, right? He was really putting everything into that first maneuver, really putting it all on the line, and just looking really light on his feet. But in this heat, Emrod actually dropped a massive score, right? Emrod dropped an 8.33, highest wave of the heat, and just surfed it incredible, right? And you've got to be thinking, out there today, if you post an 8.33, you're like, right, this is in the bag, signed, sealed, delivered. I'm getting through this heat. You can almost start counting your chickens before they hatch, right? And so it almost, for me, when I was calling this, oh, no worries, Emrod's got this. But it came literally down to this moment right here. Emrod used his priority on this wave. Mateus, you can see him kicking so hard. There was literally 1.5 seconds left in the heat. Mateus turns around and says, thank you, I will go. 3-turn combo here, up into the lip. Nice little jab for this second one, but this last turn, this maneuver here, just chucked it all on the line. And you could tell, look at the emotion, and just, he's like, I've got this, right? Surely. And he actually got the score. Look at this moment here. It was super, super special with his coach, Leandro Dora. Just, you can see how much it means to these guys. And I feel like this is a breakthrough result for Mateus. So, yeah, amazing moment.
So much at stake here in Portugal. Official results from that Heat 5, the round of 16. And we send Mateus Herdy through to quarterfinals. And there are some great looking matchups coming up in the bracket. Let's take a look at the bracket there. And I'm going to ask each of you to pick a heat, particularly that tickles your fancy. Philippe, what do you fancy from these 4 quarterfinal matchups?
I think the first one, it's going to be a goofy footer battle. They're both really strong, different styles, but surfing on their backhand, it's going to be big tomorrow. So we're going to see some huge sprays coming out of those turns of those both two surfers, both David and Cole Hausman. and they have been standouts through pretty much every single day, and it's going to be interesting to see tomorrow what's going to happen in that one.
Flick, who do you like from those matchups?
Oh, I've got to go to the last one. Jacob, obviously, West Aussie surfer, but coming up against Jake Marshall, who's got now that those other two surfers are out. He has the chance. Destiny is in his control. Needs to win it to get the job done. Can he do it?
Some brilliant matchups there for tomorrow for finals day. Also, great action from today. Flick mentioned it just before EDP wave of the day, and you know, smaller conditions, you're thinking, what's it going to take to get an excellent score? Is it going to be going to the air? There's a lot of surfers well capable of doing that, but there's actually a guy who just absolutely tore the bag out of it, going into the lip relentlessly. Didn't get the heat win, but let's just appreciate this 833 once again from Michael Rodriguez.
Yeah, every time he attacks the lip, he's so light, so fast. Every time he attacks the lip, there's tons of spray coming out of each and every turn. Look at that, just drifting the tail, pushing a little harder, and the momentum and the flow and the speed, I think that's what the judges really love, and he finished it off really strong on that one. You can see the emotion, and you can see that climb, that was a really well surf, and then that's why it was the highest score of the day. EDP wave of the day. There.
Well, wave's a key ingredient for any surf event. We've been talking up the possibility of ramping up the energy out on the water for tomorrow, for finals day. And it's looking pretty good. Should we dive in and see what's happening on the forecast and just check out what we've got on offer, what we think we're looking at for tomorrow? But a good chance of this swell. It has picked up from this morning a touch. I think it's going to ramp up considerably tomorrow, Flick.
I'm rubbing my hands together for tomorrow. And, you know, all the surfers who have made it through the heats today, they've just been like, okay, tomorrow's the day. You know, this is finals day. In the morning, we're seeing 3 to 4 foot surf. But you got to look at that little 19 seconds there in the bottom right-hand corner. That means the period is very high, which means that surf is going to have a lot of power. In the afternoon, it picks up even more, 5 to 7 foot. Period drops a little bit, but we're just going to have surf all day. So I'm super excited to see that.
It is finals day here tomorrow in Portugal, and we're looking at the surf picking up, offering more opportunity for the surfers. Starting off with the quarter finals. Here's the women. Flick, what do you like from these pairings?
Oh, they're all exciting. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. However, I'm excited for quarter 4 because, you know, we've got obviously local Portuguese surfer there, and she's been surfing amazing Vissla all event, but she's coming up against Zoe Benedetto, who I've kind of said that she just goes hand in hand with this wave. Her surfing looks like it really suits her, and I feel like she's maybe going to advance through a couple more heats.
I'm going to say the same. Obviously, Kika is a Portuguese surfer, and I really wanted to go all the way through the final, but I think those two girls, they have been standouts every single day, and I think this is going to be a really good matchup.
All right, well, it's been once again a really fun day here in Ericeira, Portugal. We've enjoyed what we've seen this afternoon. We're expecting quite a bit more in terms of energy from the ocean tomorrow. That forecast looking really promising. We will be crowning champions, and we'll know a lot more about who's heading to the championship tour. That'll be happening tomorrow. We've got 7:15 call for a 7:35 start. Other stuff that's going on right now, Original Sprout Malibu Longboard Championship, which is on in California. So it's morning time over there. That's going to be kicking off around about the next half hour, 40 minutes or so. It's going to be really entertaining. We're going to be crowning longboard world champs over there in Southern California. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to send you out with some highlights. We'll see you tomorrow. Até amanhã.
And sunny Saturday afternoon, Ribeira de las.
Set up for this moment, straight up into the lips, and lots of spray going for a second time. Continuing sort of that dominance and that.
Straight on the gas with the speed, whips out the tail, almost slightly over, does it, recovers well.
Mateus was like, thank you very much. I'll take this wave. I'll get the score, and wow.
In motion here, Imai, this is the wave he's waited for. He's loading up with the speed for him, with some speed down the line.
Really did not see this move right.
quality of this wave. Just top to bottom, no wind at all, nice carving.
Nice foam climb there, gets around it, nice.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.